11-game winning streak in the Premier League. Chelsea haven't lost a competitive game since early December, but they've also managed to drop points recently. It's 4 changes today for City as they bring in Grealish, Foden, Walker and Stones for Jesus, Mahrez, Ake and Diaz. That's since their last league game, a 2-1 win against Arsenal. As for Thomas Tuchel's side, they make 5 changes today. Ziyech, Pulisic, Kante, Silva and Alonso in for Werner, Hudson-Odoi, Mount, Jorginho and Christensen. That's since their second leg semi-final of the Carabao Cup against Tottenham Hotspur, which they won 1-0. They haven't played in the league since Liverpool on the 2nd of January. It's a 12:30 kickoff. It's Manchester City against Chelsea. Pep Guardiola's Manchester City and Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea face off in what is a mouth-watering early kickoff in the Premier League this Saturday afternoon. It's a top-of-the-table clash as Manchester City, coming on the back of an 11-game winning streak in the Premier League. Chelsea haven't lost a competitive game since early December, but they've also managed to drop points recently. It's 4 changes today for City as they bring in Grealish, Foden, Walker and Stones for Jesus, Mahrez, Ake and Diaz. That's since their last league game, a 2-1 win against Arsenal. As for Thomas Tuchel's side, they make 5 changes today. Ziyech, Pulisic, Kante, Silva and Alonso in for Werner, Hudson-Odoi, Mount, Jorginho and Christensen. That's since their second leg semi-final of the Carabao Cup against Tottenham Hotspur, which they won 1-0. They haven't played in the league since Liverpool on the 2nd of January. It's a 12:30 kickoff. It's Manchester City against Chelsea. Pep Guardiola's Manchester City and Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea face off in what is a mouth-watering early kickoff in the Premier League this Saturday afternoon. It's a top-of-the-table clash as Manchester City, coming on the back of an 11-game winning streak in the Premier League. Chelsea haven't lost a competitive game since early December, but they've also managed to drop points recently. It's 4 changes today for City as they bring in Grealish, Foden, Walker and Stones for Jesus, Mahrez, Ake and Diaz. That's since their last league game, a 2-1 win against Arsenal. As for Thomas Tuchel's side, they make 5 changes today. Ziyech, Pulisic, Kante, Silva and Alonso in for Werner, Hudson-Odoi, Mount, Jorginho and Christensen. That's since their second leg semi-final of the Carabao Cup against Tottenham Hotspur, which they won 1-0. They haven't played in the league since Liverpool on the 2nd of January. It's a 12:30 kickoff. It's Manchester City against Chelsea. Pep Guardiola's Manchester City and Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea face off in what is a mouth-watering early kickoff in the Premier League this Saturday afternoon. It's a top-of-the-table clash as Manchester City, coming on the back of an 11-game winning streak in the Premier League. Chelsea haven't lost a competitive game since early December, but they've also managed to drop points recently. It's 4 changes today for City as they bring in Grealish, Foden, Walker and Stones for Jesus, Mahrez, Ake and Diaz. That's since their last league game, a 2-1 win against Arsenal. As for Thomas Tuchel's side, they make 5 changes today. Ziyech, Pulisic, Kante, Silva and Alonso in for Werner, Hudson-Odoi, Mount, Jorginho and Christensen. That's since their second leg semi-final of the Carabao Cup against Tottenham Hotspur, which they won 1-0. They haven't played in the league since Liverpool on the 2nd of January. It's a 12:30 kickoff. It's Manchester City against Chelsea. Pep Guardiola's Manchester City and Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea face off in what is a mouth-watering early kickoff in the Premier League this Saturday afternoon. It's a top-of-the-table clash as Manchester City, coming on the back of an 11-game winning streak in the Premier League. Chelsea haven't lost a competitive game since early December, but they've also managed to drop points recently. It's 4 changes today for City as they bring in Grealish, Foden, Walker and Stones for Jesus, Mahrez, Ake and Diaz. That's since their last league game, a 2-1 win against Arsenal. As for Thomas Tuchel's side, they make 5 changes today. Ziyech, Pulisic, Kante, Silva and Alonso in for Werner, Hudson-Odoi, Mount, Jorginho and Christensen. That's since their second leg semi-final of the Carabao Cup against Tottenham Hotspur, which they won 1-0. They haven't played in the league since Liverpool on the 2nd of January. It's a 12:30 kickoff. It's Manchester City against Chelsea. Pep Guardiola's Manchester City and Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea face off in what is a mouth-watering early kickoff in the Premier League this Saturday afternoon. It's a top-of-the-table clash as Manchester City, coming on the back of an 11-game winning streak in the Premier League. Chelsea haven't lost a competitive game since early December, but they've also managed to drop points recently. It's 4 changes today for City as they bring in Grealish, Foden, Walker and Stones for Jesus, Mahrez, Ake and Diaz. That's since their last league game, a 2-1 win against Arsenal. As for Thomas Tuchel's side, they make 5 changes today. Ziyech, Pulisic, Kante, Silva and Alonso in for Werner, Hudson-Odoi, Mount, Jorginho and Christensen. That's since their second leg semi-final of the Carabao Cup against Tottenham Hotspur, which they won 1-0. They haven't played in the league since Liverpool on the 2nd of January. It's a 12:30 kick-off. It's Manchester City against Chelsea. Pep Guardiola's Manchester City and Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea face off in what is a mouth-watering early kick-off in the Premier League this Saturday afternoon. It's a top-of-the-table clash as Manchester City coming on the back of an 11-game winning streak in the Premier League. Chelsea haven't lost a competitive game since early December, but they've also managed to drop points recently. It's 4 changes today for City as they bring in Grealish, Foden, Walker and Stones for Jesus, Mahrez, Ake and Diaz. That's since their last league game, a 2-1 win against Arsenal. As for Thomas Tuchel's side, they make 5 changes today. Ziyech, Pulisic, Kante, Silva and Alonso in for Werner, Hudson-Odoi, Mount, Jorginho and Christensen. That's since their second leg semi-final of the Carabao Cup against Tottenham Hotspur, which they won 1-0. They haven't played in the league since Liverpool on the 2nd of January. It's a 12:30 kick-off. It's Manchester City against Chelsea. Pep Guardiola's Manchester City and Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea face off in what is a mouth-watering early kick-off in the Premier League this Saturday afternoon. It's a top-of-the-table clash as Manchester City coming on the back of an 11-game winning streak in the Premier League. Chelsea haven't lost a competitive game since early December, but they've also managed to drop points recently. It's 4 changes today for City as they bring in Grealish, Foden, Walker and Stones for Jesus, Mahrez, Ake and Diaz. That's since their last league game, a 2-1 win against Arsenal. As for Thomas Tuchel's side, they make 5 changes today. Ziyech, Pulisic, Kante, Silva and Alonso in for Werner, Hudson-Odoi, Mount, Jorginho and Christensen. That's since their second leg semi-final of the Carabao Cup against Tottenham Hotspur, which they won 1-0. They haven't played in the league since Liverpool on the 2nd of January. It's a 12:30 kick-off. It's Manchester City against Chelsea. Pep Guardiola's Manchester City and Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea face off in what is a mouth-watering early kick-off in the Premier League this Saturday afternoon. It's a top-of-the-table clash as Manchester City coming on the back of an 11-game winning streak in the Premier League. Chelsea haven't lost a competitive game since early December, but they've also managed to drop points recently. It's 4 changes today for City as they bring in Grealish, Foden, Walker and Stones for Jesus, Mahrez, Ake and Diaz. That's since their last league game, a 2-1 win against Arsenal. As for Thomas Tuchel's side, they make 5 changes today. Ziyech, Pulisic, Kante, Silva and Alonso in for Werner, Hudson-Odoi, Mount, Jorginho and Christensen. That's since their second leg semi-final of the Carabao Cup against Tottenham Hotspur, which they won 1-0. They haven't played in the league since Liverpool on the 2nd of January. It's a 12:30 kick-off. It's Manchester City against Chelsea. Pep Guardiola's Manchester City and Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea face off in what is a mouth-watering early kick-off in the Premier League this Saturday afternoon. It's a top-of-the-table clash as Manchester City coming on the back of an 11-game winning streak in the Premier League. Chelsea haven't lost a competitive game since early December, but they've also managed to drop points recently. It's 4 changes today for City as they bring in Grealish, Foden, Walker and Stones for Jesus, Mahrez, Ake and Diaz. That's since their last league game, a 2-1 win against Arsenal. As for Thomas Tuchel's side, they make 5 changes today. Ziyech, Pulisic, Kante, Silva and Alonso in for Werner, Hudson-Odoi, Mount, Jorginho and Christensen. That's since their second leg semi-final of the Carabao Cup against Tottenham Hotspur, which they won 1-0. They haven't played in the league since Liverpool on the 2nd of January. It's a 12:30 kick-off. It's Manchester City against Chelsea. Pep Guardiola's Manchester City and Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea face off in what is a mouth-watering early kick-off in the Premier League this Saturday afternoon. It's a top-of-the-table clash as Manchester City coming on the back of an 11-game winning streak in the Premier League. Chelsea haven't lost a competitive game since early December, but they've also managed to drop points recently. It's 4 changes today for City as they bring in Grealish, Foden, Walker and Stones for Jesus, Mahrez, Ake and Diaz. That's since their last league game, a 2-1 win against Arsenal. As for Thomas Tuchel's side, they make 5 changes today. Ziyech, Pulisic, Kante, Silva and Alonso in for Werner, Hudson-Odoi, Mount, Jorginho and Christensen. That's since their second leg semi-final of the Carabao Cup against Tottenham Hotspur, which they won 1-0. They haven't played in the league since Liverpool on the 2nd of January. It's a 12:30 kickoff. It's Manchester City against Chelsea. Well, we'll leave that one there, and it's a warm welcome along to this independent off-tube studio commentary of what's set to be a cracking game this afternoon in the Premier League. A top-of-the-table clash, first against second, Manchester City against Chelsea. It's at the Etihad, this one, so you fancy City for the advantage. Myself, Matt Guy, alongside James Larson alongside me. How do you see this one going, James?
Well, it's fascinating, isn't it? You know, in the context of it, Matt, looking at what this game was last season, it was a Champions League final, wasn't it?
Yep.
So you look at this now, we're arguably seeing not only the 2 best teams in Europe, but the 2 best teams in the world. Looking at the squads, you know, on paper, we were just saying it then off air, weren't we, that the Chelsea bench is remarkably strong. But the City bench, of course, you know, there's a few names we've not heard of so much on there. With regards to both starting 11s, both ridiculously strong, but just looking at it on paper and the fine form that they've been in, I'm going to put my name against City for this one, I think.
Yeah, I think I would edge towards City as well. They've been in a great run of form at the moment. 11 wins in a row in the Premier League. Chelsea dropped a few points recently with picking up some draws, of course, most notably that last-minute equaliser for Danny Welbeck and Brighton and Hove Albion at Stamford Bridge. But Manchester City and Pep Guardiola in some fine form. Thomas Tuchel had some words in his pre-game press conference, didn't he? Saying that Pep Guardiola's side have almost evaded COVID and managed to step aside from it and not be affected from it. And that's potentially why the gap suddenly became from a 5-point gap to Chelsea, came to a 10-point. But as you've just noted, Chelsea have got a brilliant bench today, whereas City are fielding some youngsters. We'll just get James's thoughts in a second as Sterling goes down the right-hand side, almost scuffs his pass, but it does go back to Bernardo Silva and Manchester City. But yeah, Thomas Tuchel not shy from putting some comments at his counterpart.
Yeah, he's been feeling a little bit sorry for himself, hasn't he? You know, arguably that's a little bit unjustified, bearing in mind the strength and depth that Chelsea do have, as we've just touched on there. You know, the squad depth is quite frankly ridiculous. But, you know, he mentioned that had he not had the injuries and not been the COVID cases, that they wouldn't have had the little drop in form that they have had, which is perhaps fair enough. But, you know, he has enough belief in his own players, I'm sure. And like I say, that confidence boost he'll have had going in from that Champions League final and beating them against the odds, you know, you can't put it past them today either, can you?
Absolutely. They've had a good head-to-head record against City recently, although City did win at Stamford Bridge earlier this season 1-0 thanks to a goal from Gabriel Jesus. It's been a bit of to and throwing across the midfield as De Bruyne tries to thread a ball through, but it's cut out by Azpilicueta and Chelsea. But it's been a fast and lively one across the midfield areas as Kante steps in quickly on Bernardo Silva. Foden tried to put a foot in, but the ball comes to the left-hand side for Hakim Ziyech. Out on the left for the moment. Pulisic, his opposite number on the right-hand side for Chelsea today. As Kovacic steps forward, he's been in some fine form. And a good moment to run through the two-team lineups. Sorry for you. And for Pep Guardiola's Manchester City, it's Ederson between the sticks. A back four of Walker, Stones, Laporte and Cancelo. So no Diaz today. He's on the bench. De Bruyne, Rodri and Bernardo Silva look like the midfield. Foden in the false nine with Grealish on the left and Sterling on the right. So a lot of English talent across that Manchester City team. As for Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea, it's Kepa, Arrizabalaga between the sticks. A back five as usual of Azpilicueta, Sarr, Silva, Rudiger and Alonso. Of course, still no Chilwell or Reece James. Midfield two of Kante and Kovacic with, as mentioned, Pulisic and Ziyech in behind. Romelu Lukaku up top. There's been a lot of talking points surrounding Romelu Lukaku, hasn't he? But he's in for the big game today, and he could have a big impact.
Yeah, he certainly could. And, you know, you see that Ruben Diaz is on the bench, arguably now Manchester City's strongest centre-half, but again, we touched on the strength and depth. You know, when you can bring in the likes of John Stones, it's not bad either.
Yep.
And it'll be an interesting battle between those two, but I've noticed already so far in this game, and N'Golo Kante has pinched the ball back off Man City twice already. We've touched on the quality of that City midfield. Kante's the right man, and there's almost a mess up there at the back between Edison. Talk us through that, Matt.
It was a ball over the top, wasn't it? As Azpilicueta was retreating, as Grealish was looking like he had a bit more pace running onto the ball came over the top from Laporte. And as Azpilicueta, as he got to the edge of the box, the keeper comes flying out. It's Kepa, who's in, of course, with Mendy at AFCON for Senegal. And he fires the ball against his skipper, Azpilicueta, who looks as though he's taken it in the midriff. And thankfully for Chelsea and Thomas Tuchel's side, it goes out for a corner. Yeah,
it could have gone absolutely anywhere, including Chelsea's own net there. Perhaps a lack of communication there. I think they've just caught off guard by the fact the ball skidded up and it happened so quickly. Either way, they've got off lightly, but can City counteract from this corner kick?
De Bruyne whips it in towards the front post. That's a good goalkeeping there from Kepa. He's had his critics down the last few years whilst he's been at Chelsea. Their record goalkeeping signing, the record goalkeeping signing in history, wasn't it? Just after Alisson moved to Liverpool as well. But they brought in Mendy, and he's been brilliant. But I do think that Kepa has been a lot better recently.
Yeah, certainly early on in the season, he played in a couple of the Carabao Cup games. They had a victory over Aston Villa, and you know he was instrumental in the penalty shootout there. And I don't know whether when he first came here there was an edge of nervousness about his play, but perhaps been out the limelight a little bit, coming in for these kind of lesser sort of demanding fixtures, that he's taken the pressure on him. He's relaxed and he's shown his quality, hasn't he?
Absolutely. As Lukaku tries to flick one on to Ziyech, it's nicked off by Sterling, who then plays it inside to Bernardo Silva. Certainly up there for potential for Manchester City's player of the season so far. He's been brilliant this season. Just picked up only a few goals, with 7 this season. Bernardo Silva from midfield. It's a fantastic return for the Portuguese, who settles in a midfield role these days, whereas especially in the 100-point season, he was more on the right flank, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's interesting. Everyone saw Phil Foden has been that replacement for David Silva, and it's perhaps not worked out that way. It's Bernardo Silva. It's dropped that little bit deeper, like you're saying. Everything he does is superb, and his dribbling's absolutely fantastic. His selection of passing's brilliant too, and he's been arguably one of the best players in the Premier League this season.
Absolutely. It looks as though Foden and De Bruyne both keep switching positions in that 10, don't they? Bernardo Silva's drifting. Rodri's, of course, the anchor in the middle. But it's such a fluent attacking line for Manchester City, and it could cause this Chelsea defence a lot of problems with the amount of movement that they have.
Yeah, I mean, it's outstanding, isn't it? That sort of 3 in midfield and 3 up front. It's so interchangeable. You don't really know who's going to play where. It's almost like a new, complete variation of football that Pep Guardiola's created, and it must be an absolute nightmare for defenders to work with. You don't know who you're going to pick up, and when you don't have an out-and-out striker, you think there'll be a lack of goals, but it's been far from that, hasn't it, really?
Absolutely. Alonso taking down Sterling down the right flank now for City. Craig Pawson does pull the play back now. Grealish and Rodri in the face of the referee. He looks in some
with Reece James. They sort of took out those City wingers in that game, and it's a huge blow missing for them, but 2 worthy replacement in Azpilicueta and Alonso. But when you're playing against a tricky winger, someone with the pace of Sterling, you don't want to be conceding an early yellow card. The pressure's on him. That's going to be an interesting battle for the rest of this game, Matt.
Absolutely. De Bruyne and Foden are over this free kick wide on the right-hand side. It will be De Bruyne's right foot out, swinging ball in towards the box. It's headed out well, though, by Sarr for Chelsea, and Kante will charge all the way upfield, and it comes back into Kyle Walker now, who so often sits as that anchor with his pace to stop counter-attacks. Foden looking for an avenue with that bleach blonde hair that he's returned to Of course, lots of England fans will remember that from the Euros in the summer. It didn't quite work then, but it could work for Manchester City this season. Of course, that's something that Sergio Aguero often did, didn't it? Wasn't it, for City? Bleached his hair blonde, and it certainly worked for him, and he was that central striker, and Foden's playing in the centre today.
Yeah, there's a certain irony to it, and of course, Jorginho mocked it, didn't he, when he won the Euros with Italy, and he's on the bench. Wonderful to see some involvement from him this afternoon.
He's got 6 goals this season, Jorginho, all from the penalty spot, as Ziyech picks up the ball on the left-hand side now for Chelsea. They've not really had too much of the ball so far, but neither team has really got into either box, especially Manchester City just sort of easing their way forward and testing Chelsea's defensive line out, as Kepa takes a bit of a chance. He's pressed by Foden, but Chelsea playing it out down the right-hand side. It comes back to Rudiger, who takes some time as well. Kante flicks it down the line to his skipper Azpilicueta, and back to the German Rudiger once again. This time he puts his boot through the ball. He often plays at that left of the central 3 defenders, doesn't he, for Chelsea? But today on the right-hand side with Sarr on the left. But Chelsea coming forward quickly down the middle of the park. Pulisic with the ball at his feet, runs, turns quickly, looking for support, just drops it back to Kante now. And Chelsea will be happy just to hold some possession here and try and force City back into their own half.
Yeah, I mean, full credit to Chelsea there, because the pressure they were under was absolutely superb. The front three from Chelsea, from City, pressing absolutely beautifully, and the ability and the footwork of the centre halves, as we're seeing again now, to be able to play it back so comfortably. There was no panic at all, and they played it all the way from the back out to the front. Now there might be an opportunity here for Lukaku. He's got support with him, looks for Alonso, plays it to Ziyech in the 6-yard area. There was just too much on the pass. The flag's gone up anyway. Miscontrol from Ziyech. But Matt, that was all came from Chelsea, building it up from the back. They worked it forward, patient play. Lukaku rolls the defender absolutely superbly, and there was just a little bit too much weight on the pass, but City would have got away with it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Lukaku's strength there, wasn't it, up against the centre half, who I think it was John Stones, just went collapsing to the floor, given the Belgian strength, and then the ball forward is poor, as you mentioned, but I think Ziyech was offside even so. But yeah, not the greatest moment there in terms of defence for City, but it just shows how the game can just switch suddenly, can't it? And both these teams have so much attacking quality. City have been leaky at times, but not for the last 11 games. They, of course, in that 12th game prior to this one, lost 2-0 against Crystal Palace, where a game where Ruben Diaz was at centre-half, but he's not there today, and I'm sure that Lukaku will be looking at Laporte and Stones and thinking, you're a little bit weaker than your Portuguese teammate. I fancy myself against you today.
Yeah, I mean, the physicality of Romelu Lukaku, when he comes up against most centre-halves, he probably imagines himself to be the strong one. But as you say, Matt, certainly with these two, they're both terrific on the ball, these City centre-halves. But from a physicality point of view, there are stronger centre-halves out there, such as Ruben Diaz.
Absolutely. John Stones in the starting 11 today for the first time since City's 7-0 battering of Leeds in the Christmas period. Such as his knock ruled him out for the last couple of weeks or so, as De Bruyne down the left-hand side into Cancelo, who's also been fantastic this season. Grealish going down the line against Rudiger, just tries to stop quickly, miscontrols the ball, and it dribbles out for a goal kick. It's been one of those games, not really end-to-end or opening too many openings, but there's been those flashes where there's just been a chance and it's just not quite had the necessary touch or pass to quite cut the defence open, but it's certainly got all the potential to provide a brilliant remaining 80 minutes or so, as Pulisic allows the ball, or say Cancelo holding Pulisic allows the ball to go over his head, and Laporte will come and gather. And now with City at the back once again, who will build that possession through the thirds. Stones to Laporte on the left-hand side. Chelsea trying to keep narrow here. Kante and Kovacic staying very, very close together. Both Kante and Thiago Silva had just one training session before their game against Spurs in the Carabao Cup, and they're in again today, 2 games in a row, as De Bruyne in behind the Chelsea defence now tries to square it back towards the penalty spot. There was a couple of City men coming in, but Marcus Alonso, with some brilliant positioning, is able to clear it. Yeah,
we talked about how interchangeable the City front 6, shall we say, are. You saw Kevin De Bruyne getting very, very far forward there. He got himself into a decent area, and it's been a frantic start to this game, as we've touched on, but it's so exciting, and there's going to be more and more chances to come. Nearly one there. It was a decent ball in from Sterling.
Yeah, Sterling stopped, then started again and beat Marcus Alonso. Good ball to the back post of Grealish, but it was headed out by a Chelsea head. In the end, Cancelo with a shot from the left-hand Side is blocked, and it will be another City corner over on that far side. It's been Sterling, hasn't it, down this ride who has been troubling, and they're clearly going for him again up against Marcos Alonso. They fancy themselves against the Spanish left-back Sterling, who's been named Player of the Month, hasn't he, for Manchester City in the Premier League. As Sterling once again on the left-hand side, short corner, right-footed ball towards the far post. It's John Stones down the throat of the goalkeeper. First real chance of the game, but a good save from Kepa.
Yeah, there's not an awful lot of height, is there, in this Manchester City team? So if they are going to score from a set piece, a corner or a cross, it's more than likely to be one of the centre-halves who attack it. And we've seen John Stones down the years, especially in an England shirt, getting himself on the end of balls. He attacked that one very well. Just needed to go either side of the keeper. Just a little bit too much weight on that pass there. And look at the frustration of Thomas Tuchel on our pictures. He's a fanatical manager, isn't he? He's very, very animated. And there's an element of pressure on him today, Matt, and the fact that, you know, we've touched on it already. City get the 3 points here. They've got a finger on the Premier League title, dare I say. And I think it's curtains for Chelsea in that point of view in the league this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Ziyech there. Tuchel is going crazy at him, and you can understand why. It's a brilliant, brilliant chance. Lukaku's on the final shoulder. He's onside. The ball just needs to be perfectly weighted, and he will be through on goal as Kovacic gets penalised there for a tackle on Phil Foden. But Ziyech, a man that's not gone to AFCON with Morocco, staying at Chelsea, not quite with the necessary pass there. He sweeps round, doesn't he, Kovacic, on that tackle, the Croatian, against Phil Foden. I think that's a sign, isn't it, of modern-day football, in the sense of a few years ago, that is an exceptional tackle. He's won the ball. He's got the ball, but he's also got the man. But nowadays, referees don't like to be lenient.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they sort of said at the start of the season, didn't they, the officials, that they were going to be try to be that little bit more lenient, let a few more things go. But like you say, even so, nowadays, that doesn't really count for a lot, does it? Because it was a good physical challenge. There was enough of the ball won there, in my opinion. The referee wasn't interested, but thankfully a yellow card wasn't awarded. That would have been unjustified, I'm sure. Yep,
Grealish down the left up against Azpilicueta. Now Kante going over to help. Just drops it back to Cancelo. Now with Rodri. And for my liking, has made vast improvement in his game this season. It's been a real rock and an anchor for Manchester City. Of course, Fernandinho still in the team, but aging every single year. They needed somebody, and Rodri has certainly filled that gap where Fernandinho has left as De Bruyne. Down the left-hand side now into Cancelo, up against Azpilicueta, who puts a good foot in, but the Portuguese holds on to it for now. Laporte into Rodri in 5 yards of space before Kante charges him down. Walker out to the right-hand side with Sterling, one-on-one with Marcos Alonso. This time just decides to just delay things and come back inside. Walker fires it forward into Foden. Brilliant footwork from him. Flicks it out wide to Sterling now. Foden's still there to support, but Sterling drives inside, gets past Alonso, up against Sarr now. Down the right-hand side, slide tackle comes in. Claims for a penalty. Phil Foden is going right up to the referee. Sarr goes over to the official on the near side. Let's see a replay here. He gets the ball there. Does Sarr. It looked like a brilliant left-footed challenge from that reverse angle that we've just seen there. And still yet, I'm not sure what decision's been made. It will be a corner, and thankfully so.
Yeah, I think they're initially arguing for the penalty kick, and that changed because I'm not so sure whether they're going to give Chelsea the goal kick there. Either way, the referee and the official have made their mind up collectively. It's gone out for a corner, but it hasn't counted for anything anyway. Phil Foden, it was, with the in-swinger from the right-hand side on his left foot, but he put it over the head of absolutely everyone. And again, you know, we've got to give the plaudits, haven't we, Matt, to Raheem Sterling. We've touched on it already. He's already managed to get Alonso booked when he knocked it past him, and Alonso brought him down again. He gave up on him, really. I don't know whether he's been more conscious now and more aware, Alonso, but he almost put his hands away and just let Sterling run. And you imagine now, if there's going to be a goal coming from City in this first half, you know, you put your money on it being from that right-hand side, wouldn't you?
I suppose that's why Alonso is potentially better in that back five, not only because it allows him to get forward more, but in the sense of he can have that decision, can't he, where he just goes, I'm going to step back here, and I'm not going to risk another yellow card because there's somebody behind me that will cover, and there still will be 4 defenders there, even if I miss the tackle. Just saw another replay of that attempted Ziyech pass through to Lukaku, and Tuchel going crazy. The more I look at it, the more of a great chance it is wasted by Ziyech.
Yeah, and it's basics, isn't it? Basic football, just putting enough weight on the pass, and you know, when you don't get the basics right, that's what aggravates a manager so much. So you can understand why the big German was so frustrated there.
Absolutely. Ball at the back of the feet of Ederson. Now we've played, well, we're going up to 80 minutes in this game. An official off-tube studio commentary of Manchester City against Chelsea. First against second in the Premier League before Liverpool, of course, played tomorrow against Brentford. They'll be hoping that Manchester City drop some points today as Walker just pushes off Ziyech there. It looks as though it was a bit of a tussle between the two, but Walker just didn't seem interested in the ball and just went for the Moroccan.
Yeah, we'll see it again on our studio pictures here, and they were sort of grappling each other there. There was Ziyech's arm was sort of pushed against the neck of Kyle Walker, who retaliated and pushed him back. And I think, in fairness to the referee, the foul had been made first by Ziyech.
Yeah, Ziyech there putting the arm across Walker, as you said, James. But I think he got the momentum. He was trying to hold him off and try and run past, but such was his balance. His left arm went higher, didn't it? And it hit Walker in the chin. But City playing out from the back as Bernardo plays a long ball forward. Foden chasing down. Malang Sarr goes back to Kepa, who looking left, looking right, still under pressure from the bleach blonde Foden. Eventually the Spaniard smashes it long down the right hand side and just concedes possession to Manchester City, just making sure that he doesn't make a mistake at the back. And that pressure for Chelsea's back line when they're playing the ball around, could it come back to bite them, or will they keep playing really well like they are now?
Yeah, I mean, it's only a matter of time, I think, when you're dealing with such a press that City are providing, that the mistake might slip in. Sometimes it's best safety first, just to clear the lines like Kepa did there. So I imagine it's going to be a hybrid of both. A little bit playing out from the back sometimes, not taking any chances, just clearing the lines.
Absolutely. Thomas Tuchel right on the sidelines, gesticulating to his players. Maybe making some tactical switches or movements, or just hoping that the team can hold out Manchester City at the moment. Rodri goes square to Bernardo Silva into the Chelsea half. Kovacic pressing up against him. Laporte now out to the left-hand side with Cancelo. Just stops then starts again. Plays it inside to Foden. Ball out to the wide side on the left-hand side. It's Grealish up against Rudiger. Cuts inside. Kante coming across. Back heel. Then the big German steps in. That's a foul from Cancelo. And will be a free kick over on that far side. It was a good moment for City. They played some nice football there to put Grealish in some space, but he seemed like he wanted to drive inside on that right foot when potentially was a chance to cross with his left when he had that 5 yards of space.
Yeah, you do wonder how he's changed as a player, don't you, since he's come to Manchester City, and what Pep sort of suggested he does and advised him to do, whether it's to hold on to the ball as much as he did at Aston Villa. I don't think it's the case. He wants a lot more fluidity, doesn't he? He wants him to get rid of the ball as quickly as possible, which he said himself, didn't he, Jack Grealish? It's taken him a while to get used to, but I think we're seeing signs of him now growing more and more in a City shirt. Yeah,
absolutely. Grealish was one of those that was always near the top of the charts in terms of winning fouls for his team, wasn't he, when he was at Aston Villa? Often potentially because he got the ball so deep and was then able to drive forward and almost invite the opposition to tackle. But Kovacic driving forward, plays a good ball down the left to Ziyech. This time his cross is along the ground and too weak for Lukaku. Can he find that middle balance where it's the perfect weight? Not at the moment, but City coming forward down the left themselves now. It's De Bruyne, opts not to go to Grealish down the line, inside to Rodri instead. Sterling's there, as is Foden, but he goes to the right-hand side, finds Bernardo Silva wide on that right-hand side, up against Marcus Alonso now. Cuts inside on his left foot to find Ziyech. Rodri with an early cross to the far post. Grealish rising highest, just nods it down inside. Rudiger sprints across, has to be careful, and is so. Ball comes back with Sterling. Back to Cancelo once again. There's a lot of Chelsea players out of position at the moment as Kante following Sterling all the way over to that far side. They've doubled up on the left-hand side of City, but they switch into the right now with Walker. Bernardo's just inside, and there's no one wider, so has to come inside to De Bruyne. Great ball inside to Rodri. Looking out to the right again, finds Walker. Bernardo still down that line. Rodri back to Walker again. And they just slow things down for a moment and will try to find a different avenue. Rodri picks it up again, maybe a chance to switch the play. Just goes into the feet of Grealish. Thought that Rudiger was right on his back as he touched it forward. Good ball to Bernardo Silva. Chance to cut inside space. Plays it through the legs of Sarr. Sterling not quite on the same wavelength. Wasn't quite expecting it. And it goes through to Kepa.
I think it was that good a pass. It caught everyone by surprise. He was seemingly covered there, and he had the audacity to poke it through his legs. It was beautifully timed as well, and you can't give too much criticism to Sterling there. As I say, it caught everyone off guard, but the creativity from Bernardo Silva's absolutely superb, isn't it?
Yeah, he's been absolutely brilliant so far in this opening quarter of the game, and we have crossed over the halfway point in this first half, so good chance for myself to pass over to James for the rest of the half.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. I'll tell you what, that first half, well, the first half of the first half has absolutely flown by, hasn't it? It's been very frantic, very quick, but very, very entertaining from a neutral point of view. City have it inside their own half now. It's Bernardo Silva who flicks it back to Kyle Walker. The only time the pace really does drop in this game is when Manchester City have it in their own half and they look to work it from back to front, and they've done exactly that now as it's worked up to Jack Grealish on the edge of the area, plays it into De Bruyne, who's in the box, knocks it across goal. I don't know if that's a cross-come shot there, looking for Phil Foden in the middle. Either way, it was into the grateful arms of Kepa, but how quickly did that sort of come about, that chance? It was work from the back. Grealish took a couple of touches, great movement from De Bruyne. It was knocked across, and could he arguably have done better there, Matt?
Potentially. They had 3-on-2, didn't they, for a moment, City there. I think De Bruyne, when he receives it in that position, has just instinctively tried to smash it towards that front post and hope that somebody will be there. Foden was, but I think that Thiago Silva covered off the angle of the cutback and meant that the ball could only go through to the goalkeeper, and thankfully for Thiago Silva, Kepa was alive to it.
He certainly was. Kyle Walker has come further and further into the Chelsea half now, and he's played it through to Phil Foden, who plays a 1-2 with Bernardo Silva, who gets to the edge of the area, plays it to Raheem Sterling, who jinks in and out. Lovely footwork from him, almost tying Marcus Alonso in knots there. It's on the edge of the area with Rodri, who dinks one into the box just before the 6-yard area. The heads go up. Cancelo's there, he drills it across goal as well. It's now at the feet of N'Golo Kante. He tries to escape with the ball. Kevin De Bruyne says that's not happening. And it's interesting, isn't it? You know, we touched on the lack of sort of centre forward that Manchester City have. I have to say, from a Chelsea point of view, or a Chelsea fan if you're watching, I wouldn't be overly concerned if it was just crosses you're having to deal with. When you've got the likes of Rudiger and Thiago Silva that can deal with that all day long, can't they?
Yeah, crosses, absolutely. You fancy it. Rudiger was good on the front post as well there as the ball came along the ground, but I thought it was a little bit clumsy from Cesar Azpilicueta. Had Grealish in front of him, rose higher, yes, but put his forearm on the back of on the top of the shoulders, the back of the neck, and then didn't win the ball himself. And as he then came down on top of Grealish goes down. Of course, he's got a man falling on his back, and there were questions of a penalty. Nothing was given, but just a little bit clumsy from the Chelsea skipper.
Yeah, carelessness can cost you in football as well, can't it? It's Raheem Sterling now, who has the support of Rodri. Those City midfielders are pushing further and further forward. There's some delicious footwork there. A 1-2, it's worked into the penalty area. So now with Raheem Sterling on the edge of the box, and that terrific tussle that he's having with Marcus Alonso continues. Sterling plays the ball through now to Bernardo Silva. It's bouncing around in the penalty area, ricocheting everywhere. In the end, the Brazilian Thiago Silva just lashes it into touch. But can you just feel, Matt, Man City just turning up the heat that little bit now?
Yeah, absolutely. And when they're at the free-flowing best, they're amazing to watch, aren't they? De Bruyne there gets the ball, instantly flicks it on. He knows that there's a defender pressing, just gives it to Sterling, wins.
You've also got the pace of Christian Pulisic. He's very quick, isn't he, the American international? I wouldn't be surprised if this game continues, continues to be level, whether we see someone like Callum Hudson-Odoi be introduced as well, someone like Timo Werner. It is an embarrassment of riches on that Chelsea bench. From a City point of view, I would say that Pep would be the happier manager just about in terms of his side of dominating the possession. They're creating a few half opportunities. They're going to have to be more clinical going into the second period. Yeah,
they haven't really created a great chance as of yet. They've had all that play in and around the box, but they've not quite cut it open yet. But you just feel with City, the more they knock on the door, eventually it will open, won't it? But yeah, Chelsea need to hold strong. And as you say, then potentially in the second half, if they don't nick themselves a goal on the counter-attack before that in the second half, bring on some fresh legs, the likes of Werner, Mount, of course, their top scorer this season, and then hope that they can break down City. But at the moment, it's City on top.
Yeah, Mason Mount could be influential if he was to come on in this second period, playing one of his killer passes, and Chelsea have dispossessed Manchester City now. They have it on the right-hand side with Pulisic. He cuts into the box. There might be a crossing opportunity here. It's played back. Azpilicueta's there as well, and Pulisic is offside. That is so frustrating from him. He delayed the cross early on there, and then it ricocheted back actually to Azpilicueta, and that's just careless football, because certainly from where we could see on our pictures, he was comfortably offside there, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. So frustrating. You use the word. It's the perfect word, especially for Chelsea fans. I'm sure they're frustrated with that one, because not only was he offside just before on that occasion, but just before that, he had all the space in the world on the right flank and didn't do anything with it. And by that time, he had 2 City men in front of him, and the cross was just played straight against Cancelo.
Big fit boots to fill of Eden Hazard, didn't he, when he
yeah.
he came to Chelsea. Christian Pulisic, in fairness to him, he's been dogged by injuries, and he's still got time on his side, and as I say, he's got the skill set within him and the pace to go on to be a very, very good player, but that was frustrating from him there. And we touched on Hakim Ziyech earlier on. He overplayed a pass, overhit a pass, and underhit a pass. We've already seen the frustration of Thomas Tuchel. He might be one of the first players to be removed in this second half, but we shall see from then on. Anyway, Chelsea are going to work it from the back now, and it's very nerve-wracking watching Chelsea do it, because under that press from City, you think they'd be inclined for a mistake, but they're not giving in, are they, Matt? They're happy to play it out, and you just fear that the mistake incoming.
Yeah, they're really stubborn with this. I think they feel like that's the way to get City, isn't it? Draw them in and then kill them on the counter-attack. But their star man at playing out from the back is undoubtedly Jorginho. He's so great on the ball technically. I remember a game last season when he went to Anfield, he completely dominated Liverpool doing just that. And he's not playing today. They're relying on Kovacic and Kante, who have been in brilliant form themselves. But yeah, they're so stubborn with that playing at the back. It's just a question, will they make a mistake?
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. Anyway, the ball is worked over the halfway line now to João Cancelo. He has a little bit of space ahead of him, which is, of course, as it always is, covered by N'Golo Kante. Jack Grealish now has it on the touchline. He cuts inside and fires Rodri. Rodri sprays a diagonal ball to Raheem Sterling. Lovely control from him. It was certainly a difficult one to do so, and then it bounces down and it's picked up by Marcos Alonso. Chelsea look to get rid of it as quickly as they possibly can, and that was, we've seen there, perhaps the need for them to just get rid of it. But if you are going to do a sort of long ball up front, it's got to be more accurate than that, because that was absolutely nowhere near Romelu Lukaku.
Yeah, absolutely. Lukaku's not a man that's going to sprint into the channels too often. You've got to try and hit him or hit near him. Every time they're making a panic clearance, it goes anywhere, and Lukaku can't predict where it's going to go.
Yeah, that is absolutely right. Bernardo Silva now has picked it up in the middle of the park, but there's a little bit of respite here for Chelsea, and they needed that. We're just going to see it again on our studio pictures. It was good physicality from Kovacic again there. He stepped across him. There didn't seem to be an awful lot in that. 2 players competing for the ball, shoulder to shoulder. I think that's a little bit harsh. Either way, you know, some respite that Chelsea desperately need.
Yeah, as you said, it was the physicality of Kovacic that came in brilliantly and won the ball back off Rodri. But because he's put the momentum in one way, he's then trying to turn the other way. Well, of course, he's not going to be able to spring off quickly because all of his momentum's still shifting to his right-hand side. And then he turns, and Rodri doesn't barely touch him, and the foul goes against him. It's unfortunate for City, but respite, as you say, for Chelsea.
Yeah, it certainly is. Just ticked over their half-an-hour mark in this game, and Chelsea giving the ball away, and another ferocious tackle comes in from Kovacic. I think that's the 3rd foul that he's been involved in this game. That one was a little bit more concrete, a little bit more clear. Just going to see it again on our pictures. Bernardo Silva was going towards goal. It comes in from behind, doesn't time it well enough. Does he even get a slight toe on the ball there? Either way, he clipped his heels. I think it's a foul, man.
It's a tackle from behind, and you're asking for it in the modern day of football, aren't you, unless you get the ball absolutely cleanly. I think he was just a little bit frustrated. I think there was more contact in a tackle just before that foul than there was on the Rodri Kovacic one against him just a few moments ago, and I thought that he thought it was a foul, so almost just slid in frustrated, and but it has resulted in what could be a great chance for City. But as we mentioned already, they're struggling from the set pieces.
Yeah, they certainly are. This time it's De Bruyne that takes it. He curls one in. It lands on the edge of the 6-yard box. There was a man there. It was Aymeric Laporte who was waiting for it. Marcos Alonso was there, got a foot on it, and he lashed it in towards those Chelsea supporters who were stood behind that goal. And there's not an awful lot he could do there. It was a teasing ball in from De Bruyne, and he just swung a foot on it, came off his shin, and probably the right thing to do from Alonso there.
Yeah, it was in a comfortable position, wasn't he, to volley that one away, not under pressure really from Laporte. I think he was complaining to official on the near side, saying he got a push from Laporte, and that's why he had to play it out, but we'll see the results here.
Yeah, it's an in-swinging corner from Kevin De Bruyne. The heads go up. It's Antonio Rudiger that gets there first. A little bit of head tennis in the penalty area, and it lands on the edge of the box where it's picked up by Bernardo Silva. He gets to the byline, and there's two men doubling up on him. Hakim Ziyech is back there helping his defenders out. Hand on the back of Bernardo Silva, arguably there. He went to ground very, very easily. Either way, the linesman waves at him to get on with it. And again, we see Chelsea try to quickly play it out from the back. They done a better job of it now. Really nice turn. He held the ball up really well there. Did Pulisic. It's now with N'Golo Kante in central midfield. He plays a 1-2 with Sarr. He goes back towards goal again, where it's picked up by Thiago Silva. Not offering as much as a press on this instance there. City, and I touched on that. They had a little bit of time there to play the ball out, did Chelsea, and Sarr, whether his accuracy gauge was off there, he just played it straight out to touch. That's disappointing.
Yeah, there comes the mistake, but fortunately for Chelsea, it didn't fall at a City man's feet, and therefore it just went out for a throw-in. Incidentally, another game on this service in the Championship, a big game between Luton and Bournemouth. The league leaders have gone behind thanks to an own goal from Lloyd Kelly. A mistake there as well.
Yeah, that is a game that Bournemouth would be expecting to win, and perhaps need to win to get back into the big time, to be playing against the likes of Manchester City and Chelsea. Kyle Walker has it now in the Chelsea half. He plays in to Rodri. It's worked out nicely to Cancelo, who plays it out to Jack Grealish, the man ahead of him, and Rudiger marks him really, really well. They're covering all areas as well as they can here. Chelsea. It's knocked down the touchline there by Cancelo. It's gone out for a throw. A few appeals from him there. He looks for a bit of support ahead of him, and there's the darker blue shirts covering all blades of grass just to try and block any option for the thrower. It's picked up now by Phil Foden. Lovely footwork from him. Gets to the byline. He puts a cross in. It was just ahead of the 6-yard box, and what you were waiting there for was for a City shirt to tap it in, but it was an empty box at that point, wasn't it?
Yeah, we know that Phil Foden is bleached blonde today, but he just puts his hands on his head and we can't see his hair because he's so frustrated and irritated that none of his teammates are on the edge of that 6-yard box. He is the false 9 today. Therefore, he's the man that's usually in the middle, but given he's drifted slightly wide, he's asking for somebody to support him. Nobody gambles. De Bruyne was a few yards off, so was Sterling, and a brilliant, brilliant chance could have been, wasn't.
Yeah, we know it was linked in the summer, Harry Kane, but you just can't help think, can you, in a circumstance like today, how he would be almost the final piece in what is already nearly a complete jigsaw for Manchester City.
Yeah, you just wonder, maybe that was Kane's last chance to go to City as well. There's Erling Haaland this summer. He's got a reduced release clause as well. I'm sure that, we know for a fact all of the representatives, don't we, of City, United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs, they've all have spoken to Erling Haaland. It's just down to him and his agents as to who he goes to. Of course, the likes of Real Madrid and PSG and Barcelona and Bayern Munich come knocking. He's got everyone to choose from, but you never know. Pep Guardiola of Manchester City is a very, very enticing prospect.
It is. His father, of course, played for City as well, so whether he would steer him in the direction of the Etihad, who knows. Either way, there was a ball over the top there for Jack Grealish. It was a little bit too much on it. Kepa came out, swept it up and put it out into touch. It's now on the halfway line for Manchester City. John Stones has it in the centre circle, finds Kyle Walker ahead of him. He takes a touch there. Under a little bit of pressure, plays it to Rodri in midfield. It's now with Bernardo Silva. It's moving further and further out towards the flanks in this game. He looked to go forward and turn and played it straight back to Kyle Walker. The support now of that middleman Rodri, who takes a little bit of a heavy touch, does well to get out of the situation there, plays it through to Bernardo Silva. He knocks one through the middle, going for Raheem Sterling there. Great pace in behind, and in fairness there, Sarr did enough. And it was very, very bright early on in this game. They've done as best as they possibly can, Chelsea, to keep it a little bit quiet as we move towards half-time.
Yeah, absolutely. Sarr's done well. Andreas Christensen might have been in line to play this one, but has returned a positive COVID test. Sarr doing well to just cover off the angle there from
here, and it's Man City who are resuming the dominance in terms of possession in this game. Laporte has it now at the back. He's moved inside the Chelsea half. Pretty much all the Manchester City players are inside the Chelsea half, barring Edison. I'm sure he's quite far out as well in his usual fashion. Anyway, here's John Stones. He sweeps it out to Kevin De Bruyne. It looks to play it quickly out of his feet, and it's Alonso that's there to get a block on it. He would have hoped that it might have gone out into touch. In fact, it has there. There was a little bit of a late flag there from the official. Walker takes the throw as quickly as he possibly can. It's now with Laporte at the back. He sticks his head up and looks for options ahead of him. Instead, he goes towards his centre-half partner, which is John Stones. Walker again knocks a diagonal ball over the top. It's picked up by De Bruyne. Questions for offside there. He plays it across goal for the support. And I imagine that, you know, they're insisted, the linesmen nowadays, to keep the flag down. What do you reckon on this one, Matt? Has he timed his run well enough there?
Oh, we're just seeing a replay there. He's just a little bit offside for me. Sarr steps up at the perfect time, but the official, as you say, just making sure, just allowing things to go on and then putting the flag up afterwards. So it has gone to a Chelsea free kick as opposed to a corner. But, yeah, just drifted off in the end. Another goal in the other game on this service, the other kick-off in the Championship, and Luton Town have doubled their advantage against Bournemouth. It's Cameron Jerome with the goal.
Wow, an old favourite there, Cameron Jerome. And, yeah, interesting events happening at Kenilworth Road anyway. At the Etihad, it's still 0-0 as we edge closer and closer to half-time, and that man Kovacic again, who has been involved in pretty much every foul that's happened in this game, whether him committing it or being on the receiving end of it. And he's doing his job well. He's been really physical, hasn't he? And him and Kante are actually proving as destructive as they possibly can be against that Manchester City talented midfielders. The ball's been given away. There might be a chance. Jack Grealish. Oh, he was through on goal. Got towards the penalty area. He was one-on-one with Kepa. He looked to dink it over him. It was a mistake from Chelsea. Just seeing it again now on our pictures. Again, they tried to play it out from the back. We said that there was bound to be an error at some point. That time it was Kovacic who gave it away. Grealish was through. He tried to stroke it past him. It's come off near the groin area of Kepa. Full credit to him. That's a terrific save. He's in fine form at the minute for Chelsea number 2. But that's a huge, huge opportunity. And again, Jack Grealish, he needs to bring more goals to his game, Matt. He's going to be frustrated with that.
Yeah, well, the corner came to nothing. It was that man that you were on about before, wasn't it? Kovacic who gave the ball away, tried to play a reverse pass. It hit De Bruyne, went through to Jack Grealish. He's got to be scoring in that position. As you said, he tried to stroke it, curl it to the right-hand side. If he just lifted it slightly, it would have gone over the outstretched leg of Kepa that was on the ground, and it would have nipped in the bottom corner. But as it was a good save from the Spaniard, and he tipped it around. But that is finally the opening that City have been looking for. They didn't create it themselves. It came from a mistake, but a mistake that was caused by their own pressing, but they've missed it.
Well, we were worried about that, weren't we, from a Chelsea point of view, that they looked agitated, they looked nervous, they looked frantic when they were trying to play it out from the back. We've just seen a replay or a collision there. It was on the touchline. Cancelo cut inside really well, and it was a strong challenge there from Christian Pulisic, and he was actually appealing for a foul on himself there, but I don't think he has much of a cause for an argument there, because he came in quite recklessly there.
Yeah, absolutely. He slid right in. I think he's trying to gesticulate to the VAR to maybe have a look for a red card, because Cancelo's foot does end up on top of him with the studs, but Cancelo's gone to flick it away with the toes, and that momentum has, of course, meant his foot points into the air, and as he puts it down on the ground, Pulisic has slid, and he puts it down on top of him. It's not intentional. It's never a red card.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Matt. It was a complete accident, and as we tick towards the 45-minute mark in this game, about 5 minutes left of this first half, it's City are getting more and more dominant in possession. They've had a clear-cut opportunity, the first real clear-cut opportunity of this game. Chelsea gave the ball away, so looking to play it out from the back. It fell to Jack Grealish, who was in on goal, one-on-one against Kepa, and it was the Spanish goalkeeper who made a crucial save. Can Chelsea muster up an opportunity for themselves now, just before the half-time whistle goes? It's Ziyech who now controls it inside the City half. It's Sarr that's got that little bit further forward. Marcus Alonso's in there as well. Kovacic now picks it up in midfield. He plays it to Thiago Silva. Rudiger lets it roll across him. That was careless there from the German. He panicked a little bit there as Jack Grealish got near to the ball. It was careless from him, and there was a potential there for a foul from Rudiger. We'll see it again on our pictures here, but there might be an opportunity here for Chelsea. It's brought further forward there, and there's a heavy touch there from Pulisic. He's bouncing around now in the Manchester City half. Phil Foden sticks out a leg and knocks it further forward. Great footwork from Kevin De Bruyne. He cuts inside in midfield, and just scrappy the last 30 seconds or so as we tick towards half time.
Yeah, absolutely. It was frantic over on that far side, wasn't it? I think that it was illustrative of what Rudiger is as well. He's one of those. He's enigmatic. He's electric. He could do something out of the ordinary, can't he? From centre half, sometimes decides that he's a number 9 and goes on a run as well. But yeah, it was a little bit loose from him, and then scrappy over on the far side. But when you've got the likes of Grealish, Foden, and De Bruyne battling for the ball, the chances are they're going to control it, and they did.
Yeah, and there was an open space over on that left-hand side for João Cancelo, and it's Phil Foden who spotted it. Cancelo feeds it into Grealish. It's picked up by De Bruyne in the box, and he lashes the ball on his left foot towards goal. He was off balance as he took the shot. There was 3 or 4 Chelsea bodies in front of him. He hit it as hard as he possibly can. It was Grealish that entered the box, rolled it in, rolled it out, waiting for the support of De Bruyne to come. He picks it up about 9 yards out. There are bodies in front of him. He hit it as hard as he possibly could. But it was a wild effort to say, wasn't it, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. Grealish picked up the ball on the left-hand side and drove up against Rudiger, who knew that he wanted to get on his right foot and just had to sort of flick the ball away in the end, did Grealish. And it wasn't really a great cross. It only just got to De Bruyne. If the ball had a little bit more pace on it and Foden gave him a shout from behind, he could have dummied it, and it's up perfectly on Foden's left foot. But De Bruyne took over, as you say, and had a wild swing with his left boot. We know he can score brilliant goals with his left boot, but off balance like that, away from goal, falling backwards, it's very unlikely, and he did strike it over.
Yeah, certainly is. Will City create another opportunity or two before the half-time whistle? And who's involved in a foul again in this game? About the 6 or 7 one that he's either been guilty of committing or been the end of. It's that man, the Croatian Kovacic. It was a reckless tackle there from Phil Foden. You think it's a fair shot for a yellow card, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. Kovacic got done on the count. When City were going on the counter, he tackled from behind and got a yellow card because it was the two things, counter and from behind. Foden's was from behind and on the counter. I thought it could have been a yellow. Yeah,
it was similar tackle that time against him rather than him doing it himself, as we tick over the 44th minute in this game. It's been another goal at Kenilworth Road.
The Cameron Jerome goal was ruled out, but Luton have scored again.
Wow. Luton Town are making light work of Bournemouth as it stands in this game. Very exciting one there, and it's a very exciting one here. And it's Chelsea now who have it just inside the Manchester City half. Rudiger flicks it forward now. Azpilicueta has it on that touchline. He feeds it through to Kovacic. That's a nice pass from him. Immediately, one-touch ball from him. Looks to knock it forward. It's now with Christian Pulisic. Has he got a crossing opportunity? He's got support on the edge of the area with Ziyech. He rolled it onto his left foot. His cross was blocked. That's really good pressure there from Kevin De Bruyne. And that time he's competing with Rudiger. But they've got the ball back. Have City. It's Jack Grealish who looks to carry it towards the halfway line. He's giving it away now. This is really exciting stuff now. Ziyech feeds it through to Pulisic. Nice footwork from him. He's got support on that right-hand side from Azpilicueta. Plays it deep now to Kovacic. And N'Golo Kante has it now. There's lots of sky blue shirts ahead of him, and they've regrouped really, really well there at Manchester City. And they look to be working their way towards goal to Chelsea, but City regrouped and they pushed them all the way back to the halfway line.
Yeah, there's so much potential of a chance, but nobody seems to make that electric final pass, do they? Lukaku has been starved of service in that box for the first half, hasn't he? And the one chance he did get, it was on the counter, and he almost created something. But yeah, it's Chelsea knocking at the end of this half as the seconds tick over.
Interesting to see what both managers have to say at half-time, as there's 1 minute of additional time added on. There might be one final opportunity here for Chelsea. It's worked out now to this left-hand side to Marcus Alonso. He finds the support of Sarr and Kovacic. It's now with Sarr. He goes back to the centre circle where it is with Thiago Silva. They're seemingly happy just to see this one out, and that's the half-time whistle that has gone there. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game for Matt and I to commentate so far. The best chance of the first period falling to Jack Grealish, who's one-on-one with Kepa, but it was a Spaniard who got the better of that particular duel. 0-0 it is at half-time at the Etihad.
At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne. Deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and who turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. Half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne. Deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and who turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. Half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne. Deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and who turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. Half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne. Deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and who turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. Half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne. Deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and who turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. Half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne. Deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and who turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. Half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne. Deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and who turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. Half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne. Deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and who turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. Half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne. Deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and who turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. Half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne. Deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and who turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He's looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and two turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and who turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. At half-time at the Etihad, it remains Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's been a thoroughly entertaining game, but neither team has really created that chance in the final third. The best chance of the half, though, on the 39th minute. A poor ball from Kovacic. He looked to turn it around the corner. Won by De Bruyne, deflected into Grealish. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Needed to lift it a little bit, but knocked it into the outstretched leg of Kepa, and who turned the ball wide of the post. At half-time at the Etihad, City 0, Chelsea 0. Well, we're just about to start the second half, and we have just got underway. Craig Pawson blows his whistle for the start of the second 45. It's still Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. It's myself, Matt Guy, and James Larson alongside me, bringing you independent off-tube studio commentary of this top-of-the-table clash in the Premier League. It was an entertaining first half, but not too much in lieu of goal-scoring opportunities, but the best one came to Jack Grealish, who finds himself free on the left-hand side now, up against Azpilicueta on the edge of the box on the left flank. City on the front foot, as they were for the majority of the first half. Once again, at the start of this second, as Walker looks outside him, finds Sterling up against Marcus Alonso, who's yellow-carded in that first half. Sterling just taking some time. Ziyech gets back to help, and City starting very bright in this second half, looking for an avenue, looking for a route to try and cut through this Chelsea defensive line. And Sterling eventually just drops it back in towards Bernardo Silva, who goes back to the centre half. But as mentioned, James Larson alongside me. How did you expect, or how do you expect the second half to go, given what we saw in the first?
Much the same. That been City dominating the ball and sort of building from deep, and Chelsea just riding the luck at times, you know, dealing as best they can with the pressure and press from City, and just trying to get any opportunity they can on the counter-attack. And when they do get the opportunity to put a ball over the top to Lukaku, they've got to be more clinical and got to be more accurate, because in the first half, the service to him was non-existent, really.
Absolutely. It was De Bruyne just a moment or two ago putting in that instinctive type of ball, but for Manchester City, whipped it along the ground in between the penalty spot and the 6-yard box. Sterling was trying to run to get there. He claimed that he'd been pulled back by a combination of Malang Sarr and Thiago Silva. Nothing was given. Chance for Chelsea. Kovacic sheds it to Lukaku. On-one with the goalkeeper, and then he miskicks it as it comes to the left-hand side. Ziyech then with the strike goes well over the bar. What a chance for Chelsea. He was one-on-one. I couldn't get my words out as Lukaku opened up his body, tried to curl it towards goal. Ederson was a long way out.
What did we say? The service had to be better to Romelu Lukaku, and it was. It was that man, Kovacic, arguably Chelsea's best player in that first half. He had a lot of involvement physically. That time he turned creative, didn't he? The weight of the pass was absolutely perfect. And I'd be interested to see that one again, because you almost think that he might have had a little bit more time on his hands there, Romelu Lukaku. He took the shot very quickly and he was very far out, but full credit to Ederson, that sweeper keeper, you know, smothered him really. And you have to say, from that position, it would have been a difficult chance for Lukaku to score, because he just seemed like a little bit too far out for me there, Matt. I thought he took it a little bit too early. Yeah,
he came out a long way, didn't he, Ederson? And as you say, I think Lukaku took it too early as well. I think he could have opened up his body to play that shot and then even taken it himself and gone around Ederson. He had that much time, but instead the City goalkeeper saved it, and this second half has started very brightly. Sterling up against Sarr, down the line, looks to cut one back, chops it back onto his left foot, curls the ball towards the far post. Azpilicueta with a crucial head. Foden controls it, miscontrols it, and Kante sweeps it away left-footed. Lukaku battling with Stones, who gets a header in. Lukaku in for the second challenge with Rodri. Ziyech back in towards Kovacic, steers it onto Lukaku, great ball in behind. Ziyech sprinting, but there is the pace of Kyle Walker. You cannot stop him from doing that.
Yeah, it was notable at the Euro just how useful he is and how he can save his team out. Even if he makes a mistake himself, he has that extra yard of pace to be able to sweep back and save himself and his team. They did it there. What a start to the second period, though. Another opportunity for Chelsea here.
It's brilliant. It's Pulisic going to the left-hand side, plays it out wide to Alonso. Ziyech outside him, left-footed strike from the Spaniard. That one rising all the way well above the bar above Edison, but a brilliant start, as you say, James, to this second half. Only 4 minutes in, but yet both sides have had multiple opportunities to either create or have a strike. As we see that ball earlier, Alonso it was, just hanging on to the hand of Sterling, who went down. I feel as if he was never going to get there and therefore probably goes down because of that. But it was very, very, very risky from the Spanish left-back.
Yeah, especially when he's on that yellow card, he's got to be ever so careful. But it's been better from Chelsea already, hasn't it? 4 minutes or so into this second period. They did not create enough at all in that first half period. And
off Sterling, who wins the ball back, steps inside, step over, foul, advantage given. Sterling driving inside, good tackle from Thiago Silva. Foden back into the box, headed out by Rudiger. Kante's there as well. De Bruyne stabs it forward, steered away by Azpilicueta. City come forward once again. Rodri out to the left-hand side. Cancelo, what could he potentially create? Just flicks it inside to Grealish, maybe taking too much time. Drives to his left-hand side, goes to his left foot for the first time really in this game. He's been looking for his right foot all afternoon long. As De Bruyne inside now with Rodri up against Kovacic, who stayed really nice and tight there and forces City to go back to their centre halves once again. But a brilliant, brilliant start to this second half. It's been even more open than the first as Rodri lifts it to the left-hand side looking for Cancelo. Actually, I think he was looking for Grealish, who left it for the Portuguese, and it goes out for a throw.
yeah, slight miscommunication there, but it's going to be a fascinating sort of conclusion to the second half of this game. Both sides have started really, really brightly. It's been the usual franticness, but we've just seen that a little bit more from Chelsea in this second half period, and I've touched on it once or twice already. Looking at the substitutions bench, I think Ziyech will be the first player to be removed from Chelsea. He had the opportunity there when he's put him behind, and he didn't perhaps have that extra yard of pace that was required for Chelsea to play the counter-attack that I think they're going to do if they're going to get anything from this game.
Yeah, City's last 11, they've won 11, scored 33, so 3 a game, and only conceded 7. But I feel, like you, James, that the longer this game goes on 0-0, it could be Chelsea's game. But Grealish looking to put root to that as he puts in a brilliant ball in front of the face of Kepa. Nobody there once again for City to tap home. First it was Foden in the first half, this time it's Grealish.
Yeah, and it's almost crying out, dare you say, for an out-and-out centre-forward and not that false 9, because the service has been absolutely superb. There's been 2 or 3, like you say, Matt, delicious, inviting balls rolling across that 6-yard box, just waiting for anybody. You don't have to be a top striker. It's been that good a delivery to tuck it home. But if there's no one there to score, what can you do?
Absolutely, and Kovacic once again in the thick of the action. Foul goes against him. He's gone up for a ball with Kyle Walker. He's just got there at half a second too late and caught Walker on the foot. Foul and a free kick. Around about 5 yards out from the edge of the Chelsea box, but it is wide to the right-hand side. So could potentially be a shooting option for a left footer. And Laporte is there over this alongside Bernardo Silva. So they could potentially be the option. De Bruyne is there for the crossing option. You would have thought that he would be. But Kovacic, with a yellow card, makes another foul. So I'm sure that Thomas Tuchel will be maybe thinking that he could come off, and whether he goes for the experience and control of Jorginho, or maybe even a Mount, or maybe even Loftus-Cheek with his battling abilities in the middle of the park. It's worked well with Kovacic and Kante battling so far, but De Bruyne with his free kick flicks it in towards the box, and Kepa out comfortably to grab that one with 2 grateful hands. He's looking for an option on the counter, nothing presenting itself, but really a poor set piece once again from City.
Yeah, it is, and you know, the quality of taker that they have, that's perhaps surprising. It's interesting actually the point you made there, Matt, about Kovacic. He's been so involved, hasn't he, with the physical aspect in the middle of the park, but having picked up that yellow card, you just worry for Chelsea a little bit there. But like you say, I really like your suggestion of bringing Loftus-Cheek on. Actually, the physicality and athleticism that he can offer could be useful, but he's likely to be sort of play second fiddle, you would think, to Jorginho, been one of the best midfielders in the world in the past year or two. Either way, I suspect one of them will be introduced at some point. Yeah,
it's one of those, isn't it? When Chelsea are on the ball, of course you want Jorginho on the field, but if you're not going to have much of it, like you don't necessarily do against City, do you want someone to step in there and battle away like Kovacic has done and win the ball back like Loftus-Cheek? But that's thankfully not my decision, it's Thomas Tuchel's, and I'm sure he will be thinking of all of his options that he's got on the bench. He's got plenty of them, more than Pep Guardiola, I would hasten to add, unless Pep has got some youth product from the system on the bench, which he's got a number of names on the bench today that we don't necessarily know about that could be one of those players like Cole Palmer that's broken into the team this season. As Walker heads the ball back to Sterling on the edge of the box now for the England winger. Steps one way, then the other, gets past Salah, gets past Alonso, goes down. Penalty questions for Craig Pawson. He does not point to the spot. Offside. How fortunate is Marcus Alonso there?
Well, how fortunate's the official there not having to make that decision, because I imagine that would have been quite a tricky one for him. We'll see it again. It was fantastic play from Raheem Sterling. I said that Kovacic has been one of Chelsea's best players. Well, I think Raheem Sterling's been one of Manchester City's best one. Again, he gets into the box, really quick feet, cut inside. Marcus Alonso has already been cautioned, dangles out a foot, withdrew it in time. Maybe there just wasn't enough contact there, but it's a tough one, that, Matt.
Forgetting the offside, if the referee had given the penalty, I think it would have stayed. If he'd not given the penalty, I also think it would have remained not a penalty. Because as you say, he dangles the leg, but there's a little bit of contact on the knee to knee, but it's Sterling's running action into Alonso that causes it, isn't it? And that's potentially where the questions came. But thankfully, nothing has to be made in terms of that decision, because the offside was certain and has been checked. But City win the ball back off Alonso now. Sterling down the left-hand side. Good toe in there from Kovacic. Sarr looking to put the ball back to Kepa. He does, but Foden's pressing. Bad ball out to the left-hand side by Kepa, puts Sarr under pressure. And Sterling, no, he doesn't allow it to go for a throw. He goes himself. Inside now to De Bruyne. Space to turn. Inside the Chelsea box. Kante comes across brilliantly. And then Alonso plays a short ball to Kovacic, still trying to play it short from the back. Alonso goes long, it deflects off De Bruyne. City on the ball once again, on the edge of the Chelsea box. Rodri steps to his right-hand side, strikes towards goal, comes off Sarr and out for a corner. Just as Chelsea were starting to get into this game, they've shot themselves in the foot numerous times.
Yeah, they have. They've been that little bit carelessness, but, you know, if you are going to be careless as a centre-half, if there's one man who's going to save your day, it's that man, N'Golo Kante, isn't it? He's an absolute revelation in the middle of the park, and, you know, one of the best players in the world, and he can get you out of danger, he can win you the ball back, and he saved his team there, but he still have the corner kick though, do Manchester City.
Foden in-swing into the front post, that's Piliqueta. Woo, I thought for a moment it was going to nestle in the back of the net net. He's stepped out from the front post, and he's calling saying he got caught by Bernardo Silva, but he's reaching towards the byline with his head, gets a touch on it, thankfully gets enough to steer it out for another corner. Bernardo Silva certainly trod on the back of the foot of Azpilicueta, as he now has to try and get his boot back on, but it's just going to be another corner for Manchester City, and they're winning that stat to count for 8-0.
Yeah, it was a lovely glancing header, wasn't it, from Azpilicueta if he was attacking towards goal, but going towards your own net, that is not the ideal clearance. Either way, he might have saved himself there, but Ziyech has been really careless, giving the ball back to City here, and Chelsea now might have the opportunity to clear the lines. Thiago
Silva goes short though, into Ziyech, back to Rudiger, back to Kepa, takes a touch, then goes long down the right-hand side. Surely it's a matter of time before Ziyech comes off the field. I mean, playing your own team into such danger like that, Thomas Tuchel will not like it.
No, he hasn't. He's let his side down on one or two occasions, whether that's been with his distribution towards goal or just doing a basic clearance like there. He's looked nervous. He's not dealt well at all with the City press. And I think he will be hauled off, you know, in the near future by Thomas Tuchel, because it's an accident waiting to happen at the minute, if I'm honest.
City finding space between the lines now. Bernardo Silva driving towards goal, goes short to Foden. Poor touch. Kovacic steps in, but he manages to tow it back to Kyle Walker. And stops on the ball for the moment, gives it back to the bleach blonde Foden. Fires it towards De Bruyne, but it's won by Kante. Driving forward, beats Rodri. Looking for Ziyech to make a movement, not really in a dangerous position. Turns against two City players. De Bruyne comes in for the tackle and certainly catches the Moroccan. And that will be a free kick, but to tell you what, Ziyech is fortunate that he's won a foul there, because he backed himself into a corner, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, and he used his own sort of trickery and footwork. He doesn't have the pace of someone of the likes of Timo Werner or Christian Pulisic, but he has the trickery, and as you say there, it wasn't positive enough from him. You know, they had the opportunities to sweep forward there, Chelsea, and you say he turned back on himself, went down a bit of a blind alley, and bought the foul well enough there, so saved his bacon a little bit.
58.5 minutes played at the Etihad. Still Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. Independent off-tube studio commentary of this top-of-the-table clash in the Premier League, but nothing separates the sides as of yet, with Sarr going down the left into Alonso. Kovacic around the corner this time. It's a good one. Doesn't give it away to Grealish. Kovacic looking again forward. Right idea to clip it over the top to Alonso. He was in behind Walker, and then Lukaku was supporting, but the ball was much, much too hard and went well away from the Spaniard in a similar way to Ziyech's to Lukaku in the first half.
Yeah, it's frustrating actually from a Chelsea point of view now, because they started really positively in that sort of first 5 minutes or so of this second half, but they've just faded that little bit further out. They've been starved of possession now, and you just wonder sort of for the remainder of this game whether it's going to sort of be the City dominance that will resume and they will ultimately get that crucial goal that they so desperately want.
Yeah, we're coming up to an hour gone, and it's usually at that point, isn't it, that managers start thinking about those substitutions. And between the 60th and the 70th, you usually see each team make their first, but City, I don't think will rush into making a substitution. I think they've got the strongest lineup out today, given what they've got on the bench. Jesus has been good this season, to be fair, so I feel as if he's probably been better than Grealish this season, so he could have been starting the game today, but Pep's gone the way of Grealish, so he has got a couple of options, but not as many as Chelsea, and I certainly expect Thomas Tuchel to use at least 2 or 3 of those, as Cancelo comes down the left now, drives inside against Ziyech, beats him, and then comes inside to Rodri, and now it has now gone. Walker out to the right into Sterling. Alonso putting in a tackle, does well to win that one back. Goes back into Sarr, into Kovacic. He's under pressure here from 3 City men. Rodri toes it away. Sterling drives forward past Kante. Foden flicks it back. It comes back to Silva against Sarr down the right. Looking to cut one back. It comes off a couple of Chelsea men and deflects back to their goalkeeper. That was good from Thiago Silva over there to support Sarr and close off the angle for the Portuguese.
Yeah, and full credit to those sort of back 3 of Chelsea. You know, they've rode the luck at times, but generally they've been pretty solid. They've had the protection in front of them, haven't they, of Kante and Kovacic, and you know, in fairness to them, they managed to limit City to sort of limited opportunities, and full credit to them for that.
Absolutely. Thomas Tuchel has got this defensive line absolutely nailed down, hasn't he, in terms of what he wants them to do, and they've been fantastic since he came in. It's in and around a year ago, isn't it, that he came into the team and drove them to that Champions League win last season. Out to the left now with Alonso. Ball in behind in towards Lukaku. It's just under hit by 2 or 3 yards. It allows Stones to get there. Ederson under pressure from Lukaku. He's so calm on the ball. Sweeps it forward. It will be won by a Chelsea man, surely. No, it won't be. Rudiger then takes down Grealish. Rudiger's fuming. Miscommunication. He's absolutely fuming with his captain, Azpilicueta, because he had surely all the space in the world to just control it. But City play the free kick quick to the left-hand side. Maybe Grealish. No, miscontrols it. It works in his favour. And he goes down. It will be a free kick for Manchester City in another dangerous position as Azpilicueta protests. That was fortunate for Grealish, but it worked out in the end. Yeah,
it was really nice footwork from him. His dribbling ability is absolutely sensational, is he? In, out, Azpilicueta didn't know what to do, tied his legs in knot, he stuck out a heel, and in the end there was a sense of panic. And N'Golo Kante, I think it was actually, it probably gave the foul away in the end. He put a hand on the shoulder in, but either way, panic stations. And if they want to get something from this game, it's going to come from the flanks. It's either Sterling or it's either Grealish, because they're proving so difficult to deal with.
Absolutely. It's going to be a 3-man wall for Chelsea here. De Bruyne is over the ball, rightly so. He's a great wand of a right foot, hasn't he? But he's also got the option to cross and shoot here. There's a 3-man wall for Chelsea. Lukaku in the middle of it. Kepa has organised them. Ziyech and Pulisic are there as well. As it now Pulisic leaves, it will be a 2-man wall as De Bruyne 5 yards out from the edge of the box to the left-hand side.
It's a decent save from Kepa, but one I think in that position would have expected him to have made.
Yeah, it was nice and comfortable in terms of using both hands, and was just safe to tap it wide. As De Bruyne with the resulting corner over the top on towards Kepa. It comes out to the edge of the box. Foden was there for the volley, but Bernardo took it off him. Now Ziyech running free down the left-hand side for Chelsea, looking for support. There's that lack of pace that you mentioned earlier, James, as Lukaku ran down the middle. Alonso down the left instead. Up against Walker now, looking for an option. Bernardo slides in, nicks it away, and then falls to Walker. City win it back brilliantly, and the dogged defending of Bernardo Silva there was to thank, because it's fired back to Ederson. Poor control, right foot, then looked very uncomfortable trying to clear that one. and it's chested down by Bernardo. Oh, he's so good, isn't he? He was all under so much pressure. He had a man right next to him and just controls it down in his chest and passes it to his teammate. But Chelsea coming forward as City claim for a handball. As Sarr then goes back to Thiago Silva. Foden is looking frantic, chasing forward. Thiago Silva into the feet fast. Piliqueta, poor control. De Bruyne comes in. He's able to keep it for the moment. Back to Thiago Silva once again. Shoulder to his left-hand side is Sarr. He finds him. Looking down the left flank, finds Alonso. De Bruyne Bernardo Silva's there once again. He slides in and knocks the ball out for a Chelsea throw on the far side. But that is the pace and the electricity that can just be switched on in this game.
Yeah, and it's all about the quality there. And you're right to praise Bernardo Silva there, because the first touch at this level, and from a player like him, is absolutely superb. The composure is why these clubs pay the money for these stars. Another player there on our pitch is Phil Foden. The way they can control the ball and go past people is at times just splendid to watch.
Absolutely, they were born to be living with the ball at their feet, weren't they? Absolutely, but just before that, Ziyech's lack of pace down that left, it just completely ended the Chelsea attack. If they had a Werner or somebody in there, then they would have just driven past the City defence. With almost 65 minutes gone in this game, surely first substitution is incoming as Rudiger drops it back in towards Kante. Forward he goes into Pulisic as now Rudiger clips it out to the right-hand side to Kante once again. He's got a man down the line. It's Lukaku trying to run past the defence off the shoulder. Kovacic continuing his advantage. He's played to Chelsea advantage over. There's a good referee for Craig Pawson there, because Kovacic just turned into an alley of 3 Manchester City men as our cameras pan to Jorginho. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see whether he will be introduced, whether he's the man to play that killer pass from midfield. And this is a nice bit of respite here for Chelsea, as they've taken that one quickly. They've knocked it over the top, looking for Marcos Alonso, and can they now have a bit of time in the City half?
Alonso trying to cross that ball. It's deflected away by Walker and goes out for a corner on the far side. Claps from the travelling Chelsea support, but Alonso is brilliant, isn't he, at coming in at the far post from long balls, and Ziyech just went for it there. I don't think it was the best option from Ziyech in terms of the fact that I don't think there was anybody in the box for Alonso to head it to. If he did win the ball, but it did force Walker into a mistake, and now Chelsea have a corner, and they have been dominant from set pieces so far. They've got a lot of height in their side. Sarr, Silva, Rudiger, Lukaku, Alonso, a lot to attack this ball as there's 6 men for Chelsea in the box now. It's outswinging left-footed corner. It's headed down and towards the box, 6-yard box. Cancelo knocks it over his own head. I'm not sure who it came off. Alonso shoulder to shoulder with Grealish goes out, and the official on the near side gives a Chelsea throw initially, although Grealish seems pretty certain that it should be a Chelsea and a City throw. And Craig Pawson, the referee, does overturn it, and it does come off Alonso last.
Yeah, it's a good decision in the end, isn't it, intervening there. A good physical challenge. You could see both players competing for the ball there. Not an awful lot of caution, it has to be said, from Alonso, who is on a caution. Yeah. But, in the intensity of this game, the adrenaline, it all, you're going to see some competitive challenges. And from a viewer's point of view, we welcome that. And, 66 minutes or so gone in this game. You kind of wonder now who it suits more if it was to pan out to be a draw. Do you think City would perhaps prefer that?
I don't think they'd be too disheartened by it. It's avoiding a loss, isn't it? It's picking up a point. It's still keeping a gap to Chelsea, of course, keeping that 10-point gap to them, but also keeping a big gap to Liverpool, who, yes, will have a couple of games in hand, but that's a question of if they win those games without Salah and Mane at the minute as well. It's huge, isn't it? The AFCON and how it's affecting these teams at the moment with COVID and everything like that. As Rudiger puts in a strong challenge on De Bruyne, the ball goes out on the near side for a City throw, and a good chance to pass over to James till the end of the game, and hopefully the first goal of the game will come soon.
Yeah, fingers crossed, and it might come here through Romelu Lukaku, if he can hold the ball up. He hasn't done, and there might be an opportunity here for Manchester City. Foden plays it to Sterling. Sterling on the edge of the area, plays it across goal. It's a decent effort from him. It flashes wide of that left-hand post. It was given away in midfield. Romelu Lukaku did his very best to hold the ball up. There was 3 Manchester City players circling him like sharks. There was an argument for a foul there. Either way, they won the ball back. Foden took a touch, played it to Sterling. Sterling on the edge sort of the 6-yard box there, just on the outside. It cut in and out, and he flashed it across goal. He's tried to place it in that far corner there, and we're seeing the first substitution. Pulisic, the first man to be removed. I would have perhaps myself gone for Ziyech, but he's been pretty quiet in the second period, Pulisic.
Yeah, he has. It looks as though Ziyech is going to come off as well, though, for Hudson-Odoi. is going to come onto the field. You can see what Sterling was just trying to do just before, took it into that corner, but it was one of those that the keeper always had it covered, so the fact that it looked like it was going close was only covered off by the fact that it went wide. But two positive changes for Chelsea there, Hudson-Odoi and Werner. A lot of pace on the counter-attack, and you just wonder if the game continues and stays at 0-0, there may be another change, and then Hudson-Odoi could even go at left back to cover for Alonso, depending on if they need to bring off Kovacic or anything like that. But attacking from Thomas Tuchel, you like it, he's going for the win.
Yeah, and they need it really, don't they, Chelsea, in all honesty, and it's exactly what was the obvious replacement I think that needed to be made. It was that lack of pace, certainly from Ziyech's point of view. I don't like to keep going on about it, but that opportunity when they have looked to counter on his side, he's not had the pace to break away from it. Either way, City have the ball now with Kevin De Bruyne. A nice first touch from him, takes it away from Kante, gets towards the edge of the D, and he's curled it into the bottom right-hand corner of the goal. What a stunning goal that is from the Belgian international. We know he can strike from distance. Well, he took it, a beautiful first touch away from N'Golo Kante, gets to the edge of the D, delicately curls it into the bottom right-hand side of the goal. Kepa had absolutely no chance. It was placed beautifully. A huge, huge blow for Chelsea with their title ambitions. And have Manchester City now got one finger on the Premier League trophy, Matt?
Perhaps, yeah, perhaps that would, if it stays like this, it's 13-point gap to Chelsea, of course, with Liverpool involved, but so many points to pick up back. Kante gets caught, does need De Bruyne, beats him. Thiago Silva is right in front of De Bruyne where the goalkeeper is trying to look. He just allows it to drift underneath him. It doesn't look like a comfortable shooting opportunity. It's a little bit too far underneath him, but somehow manages to dig it out. And right at the wrong moment, Kepa makes a step to his right, then can't spring to his left quick enough, and it tucks into the bottom right-hand corner. It's not actually right in the corner. It's a yard or so inside of it, but such was the footwork from Kepa. He couldn't see the ball, couldn't predict when it was coming, and therefore it was all perfectly timed for De Bruyne and City.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. I initially thought that he didn't actually have much opportunity there to save it, Kepa, but Matt's absolutely spot on. He takes a touch and puts all his body weight on his right-hand side, and he gets caught completely cold by De Bruyne's strike. Maybe he was partially sighted to Thiago Silva been in front of him. We don't know. Either way, Manchester City don't care one bit. They are leading this game and getting closer and closer to earning that 13-point lead at the top of the Premier League table. But Chelsea need to respond quickly, and they're looking to do that now with Antonio Rudiger, who sprays a lovely ball over the top, looking for Callum Hudson-Odoi. First touch from him is okay. Plays it back now to Marcus Alonso. Good support from him. Crossing opportunity. It's a nice one. Supports at the near post. Azpilicueta knocks it in. Timo Werner knocks it in from about 8 yards out. Appeals for handball off Aymeric Laporte. The referee isn't interested. It must have gone into his midriff rather than off his hand. He certainly didn't have a lot of time to adjust himself and move his hand away, but decent positioning there from Timo Werner, and do you have to give some sort of credit for Laporte there for the block?
Yeah, brilliant ball from Alonso initially, wasn't it? And then Azpilicueta goes further support, but Laporte is that close that it could never be a handball.
And there's N'Golo Kante now on the edge of the D. Cuts inside, plays it out to Callum Hudson-Odoi. He controls it now, flicks it in midfield to Kovacic. He's on the edge of the area. He's surrounded by De Bruyne, Foden and Rodri. It's now with Azpilicueta. Crossing opportunity from him. It's not a great one. It's cleared away by John Stones. Jack Grealish has dropped really deep now. City look to play the way out from their own half. It's carried really well over the halfway line by De Bruyne, and he looked to play it through to Raheem Sterling, who was in acres of space. Chelsea just got a foot across. They've won the ball back themselves. So there might be an opportunity now for Hudson-Odoi. He cuts in, crossing opportunity. Just too much on it. Timo Werner did his very best, but that was a big, big chance there.
Yeah, absolutely. De Bruyne just needed to for it. De Bruyne has picked up a knock now, going forward there before, just trying to play that ball. Azpilicueta and Alonso are just going to stay wide on the right-hand side. It's going to be three defenders for Chelsea. Yes, Kante and Kovacic are going to be getting forward and back, but it's going to be one of those, isn't it, where all guns going forward for Chelsea, and City are so good on the break. It's just going to be brilliant to watch.
Yeah, we saw the opportunity there, as you touched on it, Matt, those fullbacks for Chelsea, pushing that further and further forward. It gave that space, and De Bruyne couldn't quite find Raheem Sterling, could we? Just looking again on our pictures, well, we may argue that the goalkeeper, Kepa, could have done better with that De Bruyne goal, but I'll tell you what, the strength of De Bruyne to take it away from Kante, to manage to get the ball out, like you say, from under his feet and get the shot away. It was well worthy of a goal in the end. But he's looking a little bit troubled here, is Kevin De Bruyne. He's been marched over to the 6-yard area, as you have to generally do if you have been injured, but he looks okay as he has a slurp of a drink, and it looks like he'll be resuming. And, you know, he's going to play a huge part in this game. The City looked to counter-attack. He's not the quickest, but like he showed there, he showed the strength and footwork to get away from the Chelsea defenders.
Yeah, got his 6th goal of the season there as well. The assist came from Cancelo, but it wasn't one of those that he's really created. He just played it into an area for De Bruyne, who was in the perfect position to capitalise on Kante, who was slightly out of position. Kante usually is able to recover, and he did recover into position and put a tackle in, but as you say, De Bruyne's strength was so that he just held him off, was able to control it, put his body in the way, and then drove forward with it. He's such a fine player. He's, of course, been tipped as the best midfielder in the world for the last few years in my book, and in a lot of people's books as well. He's such a good player, and they miss him a lot when he's out.
Certainly do. I know we're going to see Chelsea see that a little bit more of the ball now as we tick towards the end of this game. It's Man City out at the moment. Ederson has it in his own 6-yard area, takes a touch and drills a ball. His accuracy gauge was off there. He was looking to Raheem Sterling, who's starting to see more and more space now that the Chelsea fullbacks are attacking that little bit further forward. So now with Sarr now, he goes all the way back to Kepa. Again, it's that little bit less of a press now from City, whether it's because they're a little bit more tired or whether because it's part of Pep's master plan is to ease off and soak up and maybe see the rest of this game out and hit them on the counter.
Yeah, they don't need to risk it in terms of the press, do they? The press can often open up spaces inside your own defensive line and therefore invite Chelsea, and they don't need to. They just need to stay in position and then, as you say, counter quickly on the break, because Chelsea are just going to throw everything forward here.
And here's Antonio Rudiger, who carries the ball really well over the halfway line. Timo Werner looks to slide one through there, looking for Azpilicueta, who goes down under a challenge. Not an awful lot in there, so they have to be careful now on the edge of their own D. It's Bernardo Silva, who composure is excellent. He plays it out to Cancelo, who has an exquisite touch on that left-hand side. What an excellent piece of football that is from the left back, and he looks to knock one over the top there. I'm just looking at that again, Matt. How about that touch there from Cancelo? Yep. It was superb, wasn't it?
Brilliant header in the end from Sarr, wasn't it? But it was reminiscent from Cancelo of that Bernardo Silva over on the far side. The brilliant control under pressure to just hold it. He's been quiet today, Cancelo, but he's coming into the game more now as the game is opening up, isn't he? And he's picked up himself an assist, and he's held Chelsea off so far, and he's getting himself a clean sheet. It's been one of those games that's all going right for him.
Yeah, it certainly is. One of the many talented fullbacks that Manchester City have in this squad. Here's N'Golo Kante now in the middle of the park, plays it back to Kovacic. He has a little bit of time on his side, slides it out to Azpilicueta, and he puts it out to the flank now to the edge of the area to Timo Werner, who looks to put it through the legs of Cancelo. Matt was just praising him, and rightly so, because that was a nice challenge from him there. Jack Grealish is now dropping deeper and deeper, but he's given the ball away now. It's with Kovacic, who again finds a bit of space ahead of him. He looks to slide it through. Aymeric Laporte's done really well. It ricocheted off his leg there, and again it's now gone back to Antonio Rudiger at the back. Kante drops deep into midfield, puts the ball up, looks at the options he has ahead of him, dribbles it forward ever so slightly and slides it out to Azpilicueta. They've set up camp now in their own half, City, and the struggling Chelsea to find an option, find a pass, and in general create any kind of opportunity.
Yeah, there was a great chance for City on the break there. Foden trying to play it through as Sterling had beaten Sarr for pace, but I think the substitution Thomas Tuchel made was given the fact that it was 0-0, and there was Hudson-Odoi and Werner on the counter-attack with their pace. They're not really creators and assisters, are they? They're lacking that creativity in front of goal, and it was Kante that had the ball on him. He can create a goal, yes, but then the other three are not really making too much of a move. They're more counter-attacking players with that pace, as I say. I don't think it'd be too long till we see a Mason Mount or someone come onto this field, because it's just a lack of creativity now. Yeah,
I think creativity is the key word. You're absolutely spot on, man. It's Azpilicueta now who will look to create something for himself there. He checks back inside. Not an awful lot of options for him. Callum Hudson-Odoi looked to drop that little bit deeper now. He finds Kante. He carries it towards the edge of the box. Cross comes across the goal. It was slid into the 6-yard area. It was a teasing ball from Azpilicueta, and in credit to Ederson there, he was on it very, very quickly. And again, as we've seen on multiple occasions in this game, it's been a terrific driven ball across goal, and there's been no one to tap it home, Matt.
Absolutely, such a workhorse, isn't he, Azpilicueta? He lacks that pace and agility sometimes, but he gets forward again and again and again. It's a great post. Lukaku's coming in at the far flank, and obviously play him as a winger then. But they've got a good chance here from a set piece that Bernardo's just given away.
Yeah, certainly have indeed. Hudson-Odoi making himself busy, and just seeing there again, it was a clumsy challenge from Bernardo Silva. He committed himself, and suddenly Marcos Alonso appeared in the way, and he couldn't really withdraw himself from it anyway. Referee didn't seem too fussed from it, and just as Matt to my right-hand side suggested there, it was crying out for someone with creativity, a killer pass, and that man, of course, as Matt suggested, is Mason Mount. But there is going to be an opportunity here off the back of that careless challenge from Bernardo Silva. It's going to be an in-swinging free kick from that left-hand side, near that left-hand touchline. It's going to be Callum Hudson-Odoi, the England under-21 international, who will be the man to take it. The referee, Craig Pawson, just having a chat with the players who are having a little bit of a push and shove in the penalty area now. Slight delay here as Hudson-Odoi waits to take the set piece. Here it comes. It's not a great ball. It was drilled across the ground. It ended up at the feet of Kevin De Bruyne rather than on the head of any Chelsea attacker there, and they'll look to play it out now with Phil Foden. Lovely feet from him. Look to slide through Raheem Sterling. Chelsea just get back and regroups now with Alonso on that left-hand side. He sticks his head up, slides a great ball through to Hudson-Odoi. He gets towards the area, and his final ball is really, really poor. Just like the free kick he just took a minute or so ago, Matt. That was not clinical enough, not accurate enough, and ultimately a wasted opportunity.
How annoying is that from a Chelsea point of view? My biggest pet peeve in football is hitting the first man at set pieces. He's done that, and then right idea to go with your left foot cross into the far post of Werner, but he's just not got it done there, has he? City looked very dangerous on the counter-attack as Thiago Silva did brilliantly to cut in, and here comes that substitution, Alonso for Mount.
Yeah, not a like-for-like change, but it's certainly one that will offer more creativity for the team from West London. João Cancelo is who takes a throw deep inside his own half, plays a 1-2 from Grealish, and on the half volley lashes it upfield on the halfway line. It's beautifully controlled by Thiago Silva. It's flicked out from Sarr now to Rudiger, who slides it off the edge of the foot to Azpilicueta. Very coolly done by the big German. Azpilicueta cuts in and out, plays it back to Rudiger. Just buying the time here, Chelsea trying to work a perfect opportunity, but time isn't on the side. About 9 minutes or so left in this game, and City not offering an awful sort of, exaggerated press anymore. It's very much just letting Chelsea show their hand, see what they can do. It's now with Rudiger now inside his own half. He takes a touch, and do you worry now that time is running out and they're just not really creating enough, Chelsea here, Matt?
Yeah, they're not, are they? City have slowed this game down, and they're just controlling things. Although Chelsea have got the ball, I still feel as though it's in City's control. They don't feel like they're defending frantically at any point, but Mason Mount, first time on the ball, could change it. No, he plays a really poor ball over the top. But just break off for a moment. It's the other game on this service, the early kickoff in the Championship. A fight back of potentially champions. Bournemouth now level with Luton, 2-2 in that game. Meanwhile, Blackburn also at the top of the table, towards the top of the table, are leading against Cardiff at Cardiff, but are a man down.
Yeah, the usual excitement that you see in the top of the Championship as they look to get towards a place in the Premier League, and full credit to Bournemouth there, who fought back and got themselves what could be a very, very valuable point at Kenilworth Road. Can Chelsea muster a similar style of fight back in this game? They've only got a goal they need to pull back, but they wanted all 3 points, didn't they? Well, that looks a long, long way away, especially now as Kyle Walker attacks up that right-hand side, gives his leg a stretch. Not offered a lot from an attacking point of view in this game, Kyle Walker, but as we've touched on his exquisite pace already, and he had the opportunity to sprint down that touchline there now. Here's John Stones. He slides one through to Bernardo Silva, who shows himself. He dribbles all the way back to John Stones now. City look to wind the clock down now, just stroking it across the two centre halves, and it's almost dropped to a walking pace now, this game, which suits Manchester City. It's knocked over the top now to Phil Foden. His control has been absolutely sublime in this game, as it is feet again now after playing a 1-2 with Sterling. He looks to knock it back to Sterling again now. He turns inside, and he's wriggled his way out there really well, gets towards the edge of the area. Support comes in from Foden. He strikes it this time from inside the D on the edge of the box. He didn't quite get his head over it enough. He sliced at it a little bit, and it flies over the top of Kepa's goal. But brilliant effort there from Raheem Sterling. Never gave up, won the ball back, laid it off to Foden, and arguably he should be looking to curl that there. He sort of dinked it, sliced at it a little bit. It wasn't the most composed finish, was it, Matt?
No, it wasn't. First, how electric is Raheem Sterling there, just sprinting forward. The ball's running across him. It's hard. He's let it drift away. He's reaching for it, and rightly so. Grealish puts his hands up into the air, saying, "You could have played me in," and I think potentially that was the option for Phil Foden there. But him trying to get on the action, trying to score a big goal, not quite happening in the end, but another change for City coming.
Yeah, certainly.
Or a first change, should I say.
Yeah, it's Ilkay Gundogan, the man who will be replacing Kevin De Bruyne, who's got his goal, and what could be a crucial goal in Man City's bid to retain the Premier League title. Antonio Rudiger has it now. There's got to be more urgency from Chelsea, hasn't there? Thiago Silva now has it. He finds Sarr on the left-hand side. He's got options ahead of him with Mason Mount and Callum Hudson-Odoi. It's Hudson-Odoi who picks it up that time and goes back to Sarr. They've got to speed things up. They've got to get it forward. Romelu Lukaku. You look back now, that opportunity he had just before half-time, Matt. He was, one-on-one, and it wasn't composed enough. He took the chance too quickly. As you said, he perhaps had the opportunity to go round Edison. Either way, he didn't do it, and his poor spell of form continues really for Chelsea, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Gundogan just driving forward for City as Sterling picks it up on the edge of the box. Maybe a chance for them as it's clipped into the box and cleared by Rudiger.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's now with Jack Grealish on the edge of the area. Takes a chance, might be able to get to the byline there. He does, gets the shot away. Kepa juggles with the ball a bit. He eventually collects it. Really nice play from Jack Grealish there. Kepa sticks his head up, and that's another good opportunity for City, man.
Yeah, it is. He was claiming for a penalty, but you're never going to get a penalty when you've just had a shot at goal. Jack Grealish, unfortunately, it was slightly pushed by Azpilicueta. Going back to Lukaku just before, they've had one good chance in this game, Chelsea, and it was that one for Lukaku. That was huge, but they've had nearly moments, haven't they? They had the run from Lukaku early in the first half. They've had balls through from Ziyech that were really poor. They've had their chances today to catch City on the counter. They're just not taking them, not being clinical enough, and that's maybe the confidence, the form that they've dropped in recent weeks that's affecting this game.
Yeah, absolutely right. Just not had that clinical edge that you need to win a Premier League title, and those supporters from Chelsea will be driving back to London, perhaps wondering what could have been in this game. Gundogan has it now. He plays it back to Kyle Walker. He sticks his head up. Again, the German international Gundogan, and the replacement has it in midfield now. He slides it out to Aymeric Laporte. He plays it through to Rodri ahead of him, who turns in the centre circle, looks at the options he had ahead of him, and that's good pressure there from Mason Mount. But there's so many City shirts for him to find, and eventually they do have it now with Rodri again in midfield. He slides one through to Bernardo Silva. Neat trickery from him. He slides it out to Cancelo on the left-hand side. It's now with Jack Grealish who's hogging that touchline. And what he needs to do is win fouls, just like he was looking to do there, but went to ground perhaps a little bit easily.
Yeah, it's not been his day, has it? It's not been really his season or what we expected from Jack Grealish, given that he moved for such a big fee. It's not been his day. It's not really quite worked for him in the final third, whether it be his shots, whether he be hoping that his teammates play it to him, or his control has often let him down. And in one instance, his control let him down, but it worked fortunately for him. But it's just not quite clicking, is it? It looks a little bit delayed when he gets the ball.
Yeah, it certainly does. Maybe over the course of the next few years, he will excel and grow at the Etihad Stadium. But it's frustrating times for Jack Grealish so far in the early days of his Manchester City career. Here's Antonio Rudiger in check. This time he goes for the direct ball over the top. It's not a bad one either. It was looking for Romelu Lukaku. The sweeper keeper Edison flew out there, got to the edge of the D, and in the end it was a really good header away from the goalkeeper.
Absolutely, and his manager Pep Guardiola doing the Icelandic clap there, just praising his goalkeeper so much for coming out so quickly. It was a great ball from Rudiger into Lukaku. He had a great opportunity there running in on goal, but the goalkeeper was too quick for him.
Yeah, and there's going to be a second replacement here for Manchester City. It's Phil Foden, who's worked tirelessly in this game. He's been pretty bright at times. He's made a nuisance of himself. His control, his dribbling's been superb. He had a really good opportunity to put that game to bed, this game to bed, not so long ago, and he just flashed the opportunity over the top of the crossbar, but perhaps a little bit more pace in behind now from Gabriel Jesus as City might look to get a second goal and ultimately win this game for good. It was Mason Mount now in midfield, plays it back to Azpilicueta, who gives the ball away. It's a driving one from Rodri. He also gives the ball away. A little bit of carelessness from both sides. Mason Mount carries it now to Timo Werner. He gets towards the corner flag, and he was running down a blind alley there, and he's been saved there by Mason Mount, who's done really, really well to win the ball back for his team. It's a cross in from Mount. It ricochets off the shin of John Stones. Raheem Sterling's come back to help out now. And can City launch a counter? It's flicked really nicely from the outside of the foot from Bernardo Silva to Gabriel Jesus. He controls it now. He's got the support of Jack Grealish, who again goes down pretty easily there, and full credit to Mason Mount there, but you think there, back to where Timo Werner had the ball, Matt, he got to the opportunity, you think, to put the cross in, went too deep towards the corner flag as if he was trying to kill time. It wasn't the right option at all from the German.
No, it was another attack that's been really frustrating for Chelsea. It was a really unusual option there for Kyle Walker to go to, for Werner to go to, similar to Kyle Walker just before, but his side was ahead and he just drove all the way down the line because he could, and it used up a little bit of time. But then Mount won it back and put the cross in, and it was a good instinctive cross. We need more of that from Chelsea, don't we? Lukaku's in the box. He's one of the best in the air. He's one of the best battlers against centre halves. You've just not provided him with any service today whatsoever.
Yeah, they've not perhaps had the possession, have they, to get further forward and create those crossing opportunities that Romelu Lukaku thrives off. Just seeing it again on our pictures now. He's been in for a lot of praise recently, Kepa, with his improved form. Easy to blame for that one, do you think?
Yeah, I do think so. I understand that he can't see it and therefore takes a step to the right because he can't. He wants to get central in the goal, doesn't he, to where the ball is. He wants to make sure he's not caught out on either side. But it is his fault at the end of the day that the timing was so, in the fact that he stepped to the right at the wrong moment. He needed to be able to see where the ball is before he takes that step. And in the end, De Bruyne's shot was good enough to beat him.
Yeah, just seeing Raheem Sterling on our pictures there, he'll be a likely candidate for the man of the match. He's been so bright, getting in towards that Chelsea box, making a nuisance himself, and he's made life very difficult for Marcus Alonso this afternoon, who's now been substituted anyway. Here's Bernardo Silva. He'll just carry it towards what I imagine will be that corner flag on that right-hand side. Really nice footwork from him. Buys the foul, does he? No. Went to ground that a little bit too easily. Kovacic again there at the centre of it all. Does he deserve praise this afternoon for his performance, Kovacic? He's protected his defenders as well as he possibly can, but has he perhaps lacked that clinical ball that perhaps Jorginho could have offered in that department?
Potentially. I think he's 90% of the way there, isn't he, to an absolutely brilliant performance. It's not quite the levels that he hit against Liverpool on the game on the 2nd of January. He has been really good, but he's just not done that extra bit, has he? And it has been in a little bit of too many of the battles, and therefore has picked up a yellow card as well.
Yeah, certainly has, and there might be a final opportunity here for Manchester City as we tick into the second minute of added time in this game. It was that man again, the England international Raheem Sterling, who was there trying to get a cross in. They've got to go from deep. If that's the case, it's Kepa with the goal kick. It's not a great one from him. He fails to find Callum Hudson-Odoi. It's Thiago Silva now. He plays it to Rudiger. They've got to speed things up here, and again, they've got to go direct. So the only real option they have is time is not on the side. Again, it's an inaccurate ball. Looking for Romelu Lukaku. It's bouncing around in midfield there. Rodri's done really well to retrieve possession. It's out with Kyle Walker now on this right hand side. Jack Grealish has floated over there and he's dropped to a walking pace now as he looks to eat up the seconds on the clock, but he slides it through to Walker to the edge of the area. Ball comes across, goal! Gabriel Jesus was waiting there. It wasn't quite accurate enough, the pass from Kyle Walker, but again, another opportunity from across. And if Pep's going to be critical of his side today, despite getting the victory, it's going to be the fact that when they've had crosses coming in from either side, there's not really been a man in the right place to tap it home.
No, absolutely. It's reminiscent of highest heights today, but we know its potential, and it's 12 games in a row that they're going to win. It's enough.
Yeah, and that is enough. The final whistle has gone at the Etihad Stadium. The two managers shake hands. Pep Guardiola will be absolutely delighted. It's not been vintage from his side in this game, but they've done enough. That man, Kevin De Bruyne, it was with the crucial goal inside the D. He curled it into the bottom right-hand corner of the goal. Chelsea were limited to opportunities. The best one falling to Romelu Lukaku just after the second half had begun. He failed to take that opportunity. 1-0 it finished to Manchester City at the Etihad. For Marcus Alonso this afternoon, who's now been substituted anyway. Here's Bernardo Silva. He'll just carry it towards what I imagine will be that corner flag on that right hand side. Really nice footwork from him. Buys the foul, does he know? Went to ground that little bit too easily. Kovacic again there at the centre of it all. Does he deserve praise this afternoon for his performance, Kovacic? He's protected his defenders as well as he possibly can, but has he perhaps lacked that clinical ball that perhaps Jorginho could have offered in that department?
Potentially. I think he's 90% of the way there, isn't he, to an absolutely brilliant performance. It's not quite the levels that he hit against Liverpool on the game on the 2nd of January. He has been really good, but he's just not done that extra bit, has he? And it has been in a little bit of too many of the battles, and therefore has picked up a yellow card as well.
Yeah, certainly has, and there might be a final opportunity here for Manchester City as we tick into the second minute of added time in this game. It was that man again, the England international Raheem Sterling, who was there trying to get a cross in. They've got to go from deep. If that's the case, it's Kepa with the goal kick. It's not a great one from him. He fails to find Callum Hudson-Odoi. It's Thiago Silva now. He plays it to Rudiger. They've got to speed things up here, and again, they've got to go direct. The only real option they have is time is not on the side. Again, it's an inaccurate ball looking for Romelu Lukaku. It's bouncing around in midfield there. Rodri's done really well to retrieve possession. It's out with Kyle Walker now on this right hand side. Jack Grealish has floated over there and he's dropped to a walking pace now as he looks to eat up the seconds on the clock, but he slides it through to Walker to the edge of the area. Ball comes across goal. Gabriel Jesus was waiting there. It wasn't quite accurate enough, the pass from Kyle Walker, but again, another opportunity from across. And if Pep's going to be critical of his side today, despite getting the victory, it's going to be the fact that when they've had crosses coming in from either side, there's not really been a man in the right place to tap it home.
No, absolutely. It's reminiscent of highest heights today, but we know its potential, and it's 12 games in a row that they're going to win. It's enough.
Yeah, and that is enough. The final whistle has gone at the Etihad Stadium. The two managers shake hands. Pep Guardiola will be absolutely delighted. It's not been vintage from his side in this game, but they've done enough. That man, Kevin De Bruyne, it was with the crucial goal inside the D. He curled it into the bottom right-hand corner of the goal. Chelsea were limited to opportunities. The best one falling to Romelu Lukaku just after the second half had begun. He failed to take that opportunity. 1-0 it finished to Manchester City at the Etihad. For Marcus Alonso this afternoon, who's now been substituted anyway. Here's Bernardo Silva. He'll just carry it towards what I imagine will be that corner flag on that right hand side. Really nice footwork from him. Buys the foul, does he know? Went to ground that little bit too easily. Kovacic again there at the centre of it all. Does he deserve praise this afternoon for his performance, Kovacic? He's protected his defenders as well as he possibly can, but has he perhaps lacked that clinical ball that perhaps Jorginho could have offered in that department?
Potentially. I think he's 90% of the way there, isn't he, to an absolutely brilliant performance. It's not quite the levels that he hit against Liverpool on the game on the 2nd of January. He has been really good, but he's just not done that extra bit, has he? And it has been in a little bit of too many of the battles, and therefore has picked up a yellow card as well.
Yeah, certainly has, and there might be a final opportunity here for Manchester City as we tick into the 2nd minute of added time in this game. It was that man again, the England international Raheem Sterling, who was there trying to get a cross in. They've got to go from deep. If that's the case, it's Kepa with the goal kick. It's not a great one from him. He fails to find Callum Hudson-Odoi. It's Bernardo Silva now. He plays it to Rudiger. They've got to speed things up here, and again, they've got to go direct. So the only real option they have as time is not on the side. Again, it's an inaccurate ball. Looking for Romelu Lukaku. It's bouncing around in midfield there. Rodri's done really well to retrieve possession. It's out with Kyle Walker now on this right hand side. Jack Grealish has floated over there and he's dropped to a walking pace now as he looks to eat up the seconds on the clock, but he slides it through to Walker to the edge of the area. Ball comes across, goal! Gabriel Jesus was waiting there. It wasn't quite accurate enough the pass from Kyle Walker, but again, another opportunity from across. And if Pep's going to be critical of his side today, despite getting the victory, it's going to be the fact that when they've had crosses coming in from either side, there's not really been a man in the right place to tap it home.
No, absolutely. It's reminiscent of highest heights today, but we know its potential, and it's 12 games in a row that they're going to win. It's enough.
Yeah, and that is enough. The final whistle has gone at the Etihad Stadium. The two managers shake hands. Pep Guardiola will be absolutely delighted. It's not been vintage from his side in this game, but they've done enough. That man, Kevin De Bruyne, it was with the crucial goal inside the D. He curled it into the bottom right-hand corner of the goal. Chelsea were limited to opportunities. The best one falling to Romelu Lukaku just after the second half had begun. He failed to take that opportunity. 1-0 it finished to Manchester City at the Etihad. For Marcus Alonso this afternoon, who's now been substituted anyway. Here's Bernardo Silva. He'll just carry it towards what I imagine will be that corner flag on that right hand side. Really nice footwork from him. Buys the foul, does he know? Went to ground that a little bit too easily. Kovacic again there at the centre of it all. Does he deserve praise this afternoon for his performance, Kovacic? He's protected his defenders as well as he possibly can, but has he perhaps lacked that clinical ball that perhaps Jorginho could have offered in that department?
Potentially. I think he's 90% of the way there, isn't he, to an absolutely brilliant performance. It's not quite the levels that he hit against Liverpool on the game on the 2nd of January. He has been really good, but he's just not done that extra bit, has he? And it has been in a little bit of too many of the battles, and therefore has picked up a yellow card as well.
Yeah, certainly has, and there might be a final opportunity here for Manchester City as we tick into the 2nd minute of added time in this game. It was that man again, the England international Raheem Sterling, who was there trying to get a cross in. They've got to go from deep. If that's the case, it's Kepa with the goal kick. It's not a great one from him. He fails to find Callum Hudson-Odoi. It's Thiago Silva now. He plays it to Rudiger. They've got to speed things up here, and again, they've got to go direct. So the only real option they have as time is not on the side. Again, it's an inaccurate ball. Looking for Romelu Lukaku. It's bouncing around in midfield there. Rodri's done really well to retrieve possession. It's out with Kyle Walker now on this right hand side. Jack Grealish has floated over there and he's dropped to a walking pace now as he looks to eat up the seconds on the clock, but he slides it through to Walker to the edge of the area. Ball comes across, goal! Gabriel Jesus was waiting there. It wasn't quite accurate enough the pass from Kyle Walker, but again, another opportunity from across. And if Pep's going to be critical of his side today, despite getting the victory, it's going to be the fact that when they've had crosses coming in from either side, there's not really been a man in the right place to tap it home.
No, absolutely. It's reminiscent of highest heights today, but we know its potential, and it's 12 games in a row that they're going to win. It's enough.
Yeah, and that is enough. The final whistle has gone at the Etihad Stadium. The two managers shake hands. Pep Guardiola will be absolutely delighted. It's not been vintage from his side in this game, but they've done enough. That man, Kevin De Bruyne, it was with the crucial goal inside the D. He curled it into the bottom right-hand corner of the goal. Chelsea were limited to opportunities. The best one falling to Romelu Lukaku just after the second half had begun. He failed to take that opportunity. 1-0 it finished to Manchester City at the Etihad. For Marcus Alonso this afternoon, who's now been substituted anyway. Here's Bernardo Silva. He'll just carry it towards what I imagine will be that corner flag on that right hand side. Really nice footwork from him. Buys the foul, does he know? Went to ground that a little bit too easily. Kovacic again there at the centre of it all. Does he deserve praise this afternoon for his performance, Kovacic? He's protected his defenders as well as he possibly can, but has he perhaps lacked that clinical ball that perhaps Jorginho could have offered in that department?
Potentially. I think he's 90% of the way there, isn't he, to an absolutely brilliant performance. It's not quite the levels that he hit against Liverpool on the game on the 2nd of January. He has been really good, but he's just not done that extra bit, has he? And it has been in a little bit of too many of the battles, and therefore has picked up a yellow card as well.
Yeah, certainly has, and there might be a final opportunity here for Manchester City as we tick into the second minute of added time in this game. It was that man again, the England international Raheem Sterling, who was there trying to get a cross in. They've got to go from deep. If that's the case, it's Kepa with the goal kick. It's not a great one from him. He fails to find Callum Hudson-Odoi. It's Thiago Silva now. He plays it to Rudiger. They've got to speed things up here, and again, they've got to go direct. It's the only real option they have as time is not on the side. Again, it's an inaccurate ball. Looking for Romelu Lukaku. It's bouncing around in midfield there. Rodri's done really well to retrieve possession. It's out with Kyle Walker now on this right-hand side. Jack Grealish has floated over there and he's dropped to a walking pace now as he looks to eat up the seconds on the clock, but he slides it through to Walker to the edge of the area. Ball comes across goal. Gabriel Jesus was waiting there. It wasn't quite accurate enough the pass from Kyle Walker, but again, another opportunity from across. And if Pep's going to be critical of his side today, despite getting the victory, it's going to be the fact that when they've had crosses coming in from either side, there's not really been a man in the right place to tap it home.
No, absolutely. It's reminiscent of highest heights today, but we know its potential, and it's 12 games in a row that they're going to win. It's enough.
Yeah, and that is enough. The final whistle has gone at the Etihad Stadium. The two managers shake hands. Pep Guardiola will be absolutely delighted. It's not been vintage from his side in this game, but they've done enough. That man, Kevin De Bruyne, it was with the crucial goal inside the D. He curled it into the bottom right-hand corner of the goal. Chelsea were limited to opportunities. The best one falling to Romelu Lukaku just after the second half had begun. He failed to take that opportunity. 1-0 it finished to Manchester City at the Etihad. For Marcus Alonso this afternoon, who's now been substituted anyway. Here's Bernardo Silva. He'll just carry it towards what I imagine will be that corner flag on that right hand side. Really nice footwork from him. Buys the foul, does he know? Went to ground that a little bit too easily. Kovacic again there at the centre of it all. Does he deserve praise this afternoon for his performance, Kovacic? He's protected his defenders as well as he possibly can, but has he perhaps lacked that clinical ball that perhaps Jorginho could have offered in that department?
Potentially. I think he's 90% of the way there, isn't he, to an absolutely brilliant performance. It's not quite the levels that he hit against Liverpool on the game on the 2nd of January. He has been really good, but he's just not done that extra bit, has he? And it has been in a little bit of too many of the battles, and therefore has picked up a yellow card as well.
Yeah, certainly has, and there might be a final opportunity here for Manchester City as we tick into the second minute of added time in this game. It was that man again, the England international Raheem Sterling, who was there trying to get a cross in. They've got to go from deep. If that's the case, it's Kepa with the goal kick. It's not a great one from him. He fails to find Callum Hudson-Odoi. It's Thiago Silva now. He plays it to Rudiger. They've got to speed things up here. And again, they've got to go direct. So the only real option they have is time. Is not on the side. Again, it's an inaccurate ball. Looking for Romelu Lukaku. It's bouncing around in midfield there. Rodri's done really well to retrieve possession. It's out with Kyle Walker now on this right hand side. Jack Grealish has floated over there and he's dropped to a walking pace now as he looks to eat up the seconds on the clock, but he slides it through to Walker to the edge of the area. Ball comes across goal. Gabriel Jesus was waiting there. It wasn't quite accurate enough, the pass from Kyle Walker, but again another opportunity from across. And if Pep's going to be critical of his side today despite getting the victory, it's going to be the fact that when they've had crosses coming in from either side, there's not really been a man in the right place to tap it home.
No, absolutely. It's reminiscent of... highest heights today, but we know its potential, and it's 12 games in a row that they're going to win. It's enough.
Yeah, and that is enough. The final whistle has gone at the Etihad Stadium. The two managers shake hands. Pep Guardiola will be absolutely delighted. It's not been vintage from his side in this game, but they've done enough. That man, Kevin De Bruyne, it was with the crucial goal inside the D. He curled it into the bottom right-hand corner of the goal. Chelsea were limited to opportunities. The best one falling to Romelu Lukaku just after the second half had begun. He failed to take that opportunity. 1-0 it finished to Manchester City at the Etihad. For Marcus Alonso this afternoon, who's now been substituted anyway. Here's Bernardo Silva. He'll just carry it towards what I imagine will be that corner flag on that right hand side. Really nice footwork from him. Buys the foul, does he know? Went to ground that little bit too easily. Kovacic again there at the centre of it all. Does he deserve praise this afternoon for his performance, Kovacic? He's protected his defenders as well as he possibly can, but has he perhaps lacked that clinical ball that perhaps Jorginho could have offered in that department?
Potentially. I think he's 90% of the way there, isn't he, to an absolutely brilliant performance. It's not quite the levels that he hit against Liverpool on the game on the 2nd of January. He has been really good, but he's just not done that extra bit, has he? And it has been in a little bit of too many of the battles, and therefore has picked up a yellow card as well.
Yeah, certainly has, and there might be a final opportunity here for Manchester City as we tick into the second minute of added time in this game. It was that man again, the England international Raheem Sterling, who was there trying to get a cross in. They've got to go from deep. If that's the case, it's Kepa with the goal kick. It's not a great one from him. He fails to find Callum Hudson-Odoi. It's Thiago Silva now. He plays it to Rudiger. They've got to speed things up here, and again, they've got to go direct. So the only real option they have is time. Is not on the side. Again, it's an inaccurate ball. Looking for Romelu Lukaku. It's bouncing around in midfield there. Rodri's done really well to retrieve possession. It's out with Kyle Walker now on this right hand side. Jack Grealish has floated over there and he's dropped to a walking pace now as he looks to eat up the seconds on the clock, but he slides it through to Walker to the edge of the area. Ball comes across goal. Gabriel Jesus was waiting there. It wasn't quite accurate enough, the pass from Kyle Walker, but again another opportunity from across. And if Pep's going to be critical of his side today despite getting the victory, it's going to be the fact that when they've had crosses coming in from either side, there's not really been a man in the right place to tap it home.
No, absolutely. It's reminiscent of... highest heights today, but we know its potential, and it's 12 games in a row that they're going to win. It's enough.
Yeah, and that is enough. The final whistle has gone at the Etihad Stadium. The two managers shake hands. Pep Guardiola will be absolutely delighted. It's not been vintage from his side in this game, but they've done enough. That man, Kevin De Bruyne, it was with the crucial goal inside the D. He curled it into the bottom right-hand corner of the goal. Chelsea were limited to opportunities. The best one falling to Romelu Lukaku just after the second half had begun. He failed to take that opportunity. 1-0 it